What is up, everybody? MMA Live Discussion, Episode 3. Here we go. We got a very special guest on the show. We got James Krause who's going to join us. And I'll be bringing him right in a second. He's ready to go. So we're starting things off quickly here. And there he is.
What's up? How's it going?
What's up, James? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Just enjoying taking the night off, enjoying through some lines out in the lake earlier. Try to get
Nice.
some fishing, hanging out with the kids.
Yeah, man. I saw that. It looks like your little girl caught a catfish, huh?
Yeah, she's caught 2 fish in her entire life, and they're both catfish. And she's catching them with a plastic bait. I have no idea how she's doing it. I don't think I could do it if I tried. So
yeah, man. So are you cooking those up or what? Is that what you had for dinner?
No, we throw them back in. We throw them back in. But I caught a 3-pound bass the other day out of my lake, and there's some good bluegill. If you like bluegill, had a walleye the other day. There's good fish. I just don't. That's too much work for me, so I just throw them back.
Nice, man. So where is this at? Is this in Missouri or is this in Colorado? Yeah. It's in Missouri. Okay.
I live in Missouri.
Okay. You bounce back a little bit back and forth or what, for training and whatnot, or?
So whenever I'm training, I have my own gym here that I train out of. We have quite a few good guys here, but whenever I get a fight, I go out to Colorado and I do my camps there.
Okay. And the name of your gym is it's Glory, right? Glory MMA and Fitness?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then Factory X is the coach.
We have 3 locations all. Yeah. Yep. So I go out there just for camps and stuff like that. I'll go out there for a few weeks at a time.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, man. So yeah, man, I would like to get to know you more as a person, as a fighter. This is kind of what my show's about. So, man,
perfect.
If you would, man, we would all like to know the beginnings of James Krause. What got you into fighting? Who was James Krause when he was maybe when he was 8 years old or whatnot? What kind of kid were you when you were a young buck? Were you always a fighter? Let us know, man. Who is James Krause?
Yeah. No, the answer is no. I wasn't always a fighter. I was just a normal kid. I was raised on a farm.
Okay.
Partly in a trailer park, and then went to a farm. I played a lot of sports by myself. We lived way out in the country, so I didn't have a lot of friends close by. But I played a lot of sports by myself. Basketball, had friends over if I could. Played football. I pretty much played every ball sport I could growing up. Football, baseball, basketball. Didn't have a super awesome upbringing by any means, but I don't have a close relationship with most of my family. I'm kind of doing my own thing, and I don't really respect any of them, to be honest with you. Yeah, but most of them.
Wow.
But yeah, man, I definitely have. I've done a lot of growing up since I started. This game has kind of made me a man and forced me to make good decisions in business and personal to grow as a human being. Because I don't, like I said, there's not a lot of success stories coming from most of my family. So I had to kind of make my own blueprint.
Gotcha, man. Gotcha. All right, man. Yeah. So then, and I would say, to my knowledge, you tell me. So you started training in your late teens, was it?
Around 20. I was 20 years old when I started training.
Okay.
John 6. Yep.
Okay. So how does that come about? How does James Krause just enter a gym and start throwing down or start training and whatnot?
Yeah. So I had a friend. I wrestled.
Yeah.
I sucked at it. I wasn't very good. And I had a friend that was fighting, and he invited me to the gym, and I kind of brushed him off a lot. And I never really took him up on it. And then I finally decided it was summer, so I was out of school. I was going to college at the time, but it was summer. I wasn't taking any classes. So I decided to take him up on it. And, I started training and I took my first fight about 2 weeks later. So.
Okay. For your first, I heard that you were tearing it up as an amateur too, right? You didn't lose a lot of fights as an amateur.
No, I was 18-1, but that doesn't mean I was any good. It just means nobody was really good around here, man. It's kind of a different scene. Like where I'm from, there was no like pro and amateur. There wasn't a lot of regulation on it. It was like where I fought, it was like this huge bar. It held like 4,000 people. And, you know, you would show up to weigh-ins, and it wasn't sometimes I didn't even know who I was fighting. I'd be like, all right, you fight this guy, cool. You guys get matched together. You're
Yeah, I've
62,
seen
you're
that.
147. All right, cool. Yeah, so it's kind of like the Wild Wild West. And I took probably over half of my fights as an amateur on same day notice, you know, just stepping in to compete. So, yeah, that was the bulk of my amateur career, stepping in on zero notice to fight somebody.
And then, so then you turn professional. You get your first fight over at Titan FC, which is a promotion that I like a lot. They hold a lot of them down here in South Florida, so it's always a good time for me when I'm able to attend Titan FC. But I mean, I seen you. I've been following you for a long time, but I mean, I seen you bounce around to you know, a lot of top organizations. Man, you fought in the WEC, Titan FC, Shark Fights, RFA, and then of course, you know, you eventually made it to the UFC. Believe you even left the UFC for a little bit. Maybe I'm mistaken. No, and then you made a return as well. No, maybe I'm mistaken on that.
No, I never. The only thing that you would consider leaving is I went on the Ultimate Fighter.
That's right. Yep.
I didn't ever leave the UFC though. I've been signed since 2013.
So, and then when you went on the Ultimate Fighter, that was your second stint, technically, right? Because you did fight to go inside the Ultimate Fighter house the first time around.
Correct.
Yeah, and then so
did
that
not do very well.
Yeah, that didn't go your way. But that, who was the guy that you fought again, man? I remember him being a pretty tough fighter. I like that guy. Who was that guy?
Yeah, Justin Lawrence.
Justin Lawrence, nice karate style fighter, good striking.
Yeah.
So, you know, no real shame in that loss.
I don't even remember that fight.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the fight. Like I got I came in on a jab, and he changed levels, and the top of his forehead clipped me in the chin, and I don't remember any of it after that.
Yeah.
So I was hurt pretty bad from that. I don't want to call it a headbutt, but it was like we collided heads, and like I said, I don't remember any of the fight from it. So it's kind of hard to feel bad about something you don't remember.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And anyways, I mean, in a way, you kind of had your redemption, right? In the next season, the Ultimate Fighter Redemption. I mean, you performed very well on that show. I mean, you made your way all the way to the top of the bracket. You know, I guess, of course, the one fight didn't go your way, Jesse Taylor. But, you know, I mean, that was from my memory, was a very, very entertaining fight. And Jesse Taylor, I don't know what the drug testing restrictions were with that whole situation, but whatever. But nevertheless, man, we're here now, and you could potentially be on a 7-fight win streak. You know, a lot of people had you winning that last fight against Trevin Giles, first off. So, I mean, we could be talking about 7 wins straight. You took that fight on short notice. And it was up at the middleweight division, you know, not even really your natural weight. Yep. And it was an amazing fight. I remember it like yesterday. So no shame in that loss as far as, you know.
No.
What are your thoughts on that fight?
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel bad about it. I don't feel bad about it at all. It was a great move for my career. I made it was more of a money play. I got my contract bumped really well. You know, I like the matchup. I still to this day feel like I won that fight. Yep. You know, I don't know what else to do. You know what I mean? Like there's a bunch of controversy behind the judging or whatever. I don't want to go in and start making excuses, but you know, I came up short. I thought I won the fight.
I thought you did as well.
So, I mean, there's nothing really I can do. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So, you know, really, in my opinion, like where we are, and a lot of MMA fans and all types of MMA people, we're looking at, it's either you want to look at it as 6-0 or 7-0. You ain't looking at it as 6-1, no matter how you look at it. It was definitely a win. So, I mean, you have some big fighting you. I mean, who are you eyeing right now? You have anybody, you know, that you're looking to fight or?
Yeah. So there's a couple different ways that I could kind of take this from here. I don't really know. I guess it's whichever one comes first or who's ever offered first. Like, I would see something like, you know, maybe somebody that's been doing this for a long time, like I have, like a Diego Sanchez or somebody like that. You know, that's just a name that comes to my mind right now. It's, you know, he's been doing this for a long time. He's got a lot of name recognition. You know, he would be considered one of the more notable guys in his accomplishments in the division.
Probably a future Hall of Famer.
Or I'm not saying him specific. Correct. Somebody like him. You know what I mean? Like not even necessarily. Like he's kind of been on a downturn, so I don't, you know, I don't want to call anybody out on their downfall, but somebody like him, you know, that's just the first name that came to my head. Yeah. Or we could go, you know, bust in the top 15. I think I match up well with a lot of those guys. one guy that I really like to watch. There's a bunch of guys, not just him. But once again, a guy him or like him,
Yeah, yeah, no, I hear you.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of fun fights in that division. So I don't really give a shit about the rankings. So to be honest with you, I never have. I just don't really care. So I like fights that intrigue me. You know what I mean? That kind of like perk me up a little bit. And
Yeah.
the names, the name recognition seems to do that for me more than a number next to the name does. So whatever gets me out of bed. I mean, yeah, that's what fires me up is it's not necessarily the what, it's the who, somebody that'll kind of like make me want to, train hard, not train hard all the time, but somebody that I want to fight.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. So we throw out names like, Diego Sanchez, which I think that's a great move by you, because first off, if I was in your shoes and you had an opportunity to try to reach out and fight a guy like Diego Sanchez, I mean, that's just an experience that you can only get once in your life if you're lucky, to be in a situation like you. Like I said, a future Hall of Famer and just, a legend. But, like, let me ask you your thoughts on this, because this is something we heard Mike Tyson talking about this recently on his podcast with Francis Ngannou. And it's something that I've felt very strongly about my entire life, or my entire, as long as I've been following MMA and the UFC. For whatever reason, I felt like I see this clearly. Sure. And I feel like you are a guy that, you have extreme fight IQ. You're a very intelligent guy and an intelligent fighter. What are your thoughts on something that you see like Conor McGregor doing, calling your fights and getting those fights? And I don't just mean getting on the mic after the fight and just saying, all right, I want to fight this guy. I feel like there's a method to doing that. And to me, maybe I'm a little bit more natural at talking or running my, bumping my gums, but I don't see it being that hard. If you want to fight somebody right now, I think that, someone like you that's very intelligent, if you really want that fight, what are your thoughts about attacking it and just going straight on? Kind of like what Mike Tyson said, just attacking him, calling them out. This is the fight that needs to be made. Otherwise, you're a this and that.
I wish it was that easy. I have. I mean, I've asked for specific fights. I don't know if I've ever gotten a fight that I've asked for in the UFC, to be honest with you. I've called the matchmakers directly and said, hey, I want this fight. And for whatever reason, they just don't, they don't give it to me or whatever. There's always politics on both sides. It's definitely not that easy. But when somebody like Conor that sells millions of dollars in tickets calls a shot, it's easy. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot easier to accommodate him because he's putting asses in seats. But
it's true. But don't you think that part of the reason why he's putting those asses in the seats is because he the way that he talks, the way he uses his mouth? Did you ever think about just getting on the mic and just being like, Diego? But see, like, it would be hard to do it against Diego Sanchez because that's a guy, it's kind of hard to like disrespect. Sure. But say there was a guy that was like in the top 15, you can see that you can make a name off this guy, and he's also a challenging fight. What about just grabbing that mic after one of your last victories and just being like, you're next, you're going to get it. If you don't, I'm going to show up to your gym and I'm going to come get you. And all the fans go nuts. And that's the fight we want to see. And then James Krause, starts getting more notoriety. You know what I mean? Starts becoming bigger in the sport.
It has to be genuine though, right? Or you look like a fool.
That's true. That's true. That's definitely true.
Conor that's a genuine thing with Conor. He's been running his mouth way before he was in the UFC. So it's just not my thing, man. I don't really like. I don't care, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Like, if they don't want to fight me, I'll go into the next guy. I just don't give a shit. It doesn't matter to me. There's plenty of guys to fight. So if Diego or somebody like Diego don't want to fight, I'll get the next guy. It doesn't matter to me because look, I'm going to be in exciting fights regardless of who I'm fighting. If it's him or the next guy or whoever, my fights are always going to be fun. You're probably not going to name a boring fight that I'm in. So yeah, I mean, it's just.
I agree with you on that.
I mean, I don't really care. It's not a big deal, but it has to be genuine or you look like a goof troop, man. You see some of these guys out here that look like idiots when they do it.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's just they don't have it. So I definitely hear you on that. So, we did talk about the Ultimate Fighter. If it's okay with you, I'd like to bump back to that a little bit because I got some questions. On the Redemption show, I remember watching that show, man, and just going nuts, man. I remember there was a couple of those guys, Seth Baczynski, I believe it was. I forget the one dude, Let Me Bang. Those guys, they were all trying to give you Julian Lane.
Yeah.
I remember those guys giving you a hard time. And how was it being in the house with those fools?
I mean, man, I actually like those guys. I like both those guys. They're both really cool dudes, man. It's tough, bro. That whole situation just listen. If you put 13 fighters in the same house for 6 weeks and make them fight each other, you're gonna have
Yeah,
problems.
yeah,
You know,
definitely.
you're gonna have problems. Yeah, it's just gonna it's gonna be the way it is. You know, guys like Seth was the first one that was eliminated, and Julian wasn't far
Yep.
behind. So you know those guys,
No, I believe
they're there.
Julian lost his first fight, I think, to Ramsey Nijim.
To
He lost in
Ramsey,
the first.
yeah, to
Yeah,
Ramsey,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, you know, they're gonna be upset, man, and it's that's what makes it fun TV, right? Like that's what they're doing. So, yeah, it was a fun time. I definitely I would not do it again, but I would do it all over again. It was an experience
Yeah, yeah.
that I feel like every fighter would gain something out of because once you go through that, everything else is easier.
Yep, I hear you on that, man. Yeah, so yeah, you hear a lot of people talk about that, in particular Dana White, and someone like you that's experienced it. Obviously, it's no joke, huh? Being out there for such a long period of time in such a grueling atmosphere, right? Just living and breathing,
Oh, it's
fighting.
tough, man. It's
Yeah.
tough, bro. It's unlike, and then you don't get to talk to anybody back home.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to watch TV. Can't read books. Can't read magazines. You have to
Yeah.
talk to each other. That's all you have is each other. You know what I mean? So it gets exhausting, and it's like you don't have anybody to share your thoughts with. So it gets mentally taxing. That is all mental. That show is all mental. You know, it
Yeah.
really is. The physical isn't as big of a deal as people make it out to be. It's all mental. You know, there's so many things. Like when I fought Jesse, I was just coming off of a war with Ramsey 6 days prior. So it's like, you know what
It's
I mean?
tough,
Like,
man. Yeah, man.
yeah, you go to war. I was beat the hell up with Ramsey, and then I go to war again. It's like, dude, it's one of the toughest tournaments in all sports, in my opinion.
I believe it. I believe it, man. I guess, there's one thing I would like to talk to you about too, man. And I got my opinion on it. And I think a lot of people have been educated on what actually transpired, this past Saturday. I mean, you were there, right? Anthony Smith's fight with Glover Teixeira. I would like to shed some light on that, or, let you shed some light on that, because a lot of people have been asking me, DMing me and whatnot. And people were asking me my thoughts on it. And I thought that first off, I didn't so much side with a lot of people in the first place. But, once Anthony Smith came out with his interview with Ariel Helwani, and once he kind of explained the situation, I thought, it's a no-brainer that nobody can give any of you guys a hard time. Anthony Smith, he explained that, first off, one of the requirements in order for you to corner him is that you cannot stop the fight. I mean, once he explained that, it's like, for anyone that's giving you guys a hard time, it's ridiculous, in my opinion.
Well, here I'll be brutally honest. Before 99% of the people have no fucking clue anyway. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
they have no idea what
Exactly.
this is about. They have no
Thank
idea
you.
how hard this is.
Mm-hmm.
Or what it takes to be here. Like so when people give me their opinion on Instagram, I think it's laughable. I
Yep.
could give a shit less what anybody says or what their opinion of me or what I did or how I coach or what I didn't do is because they don't know. They don't have a clue. Most of these guys don't have a damn clue. So I mean that's just to start right there, and I don't want
Yep.
to beat a dead drum here because I feel like it's finally starting to go down a little bit. But man, the reality is most of these people have no idea what it takes to make it to this level and make it a sport. And then how many fights has Anthony been in where he's been getting his ass whooped and came back and knocked somebody out
Exactly.
late in the fight? It's happened multiple times.
Hector
Multiple
Lombard.
times.
That was one
So
fight that rings a bell. Hector
Lombard. Andrew
Yep.
Sanchez, Gustafson.
Mm-hmm.
Gustafson was,
Yep.
there's
Yep.
plenty of fight, man. Like, so, man, I don't really have a lot of a huge opinion on the deal because I don't want to get back into it battling with these internet nerds on here. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? Like, I don't have time for it. So,
Yep.
everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but I'm entitled to not give a shit.
Yep. But sticking kind of to that subject, but a different aspect of it, an interesting question that I have for you that I would like for you to shed some light on is, in my opinion, you are one of the top up and coming head coaches, man. I really feel like that you're very good at what you do.
Thank you.
You got a whole, stable of guys, right? Man, I see all these young guys that you've been working with, and you're definitely doing some good stuff over there. Now, what is your thoughts on what DC was saying in regards to maybe throwing out a lot of actions out there for Anthony Smith in the first round, and maybe that was something that kind of gassed him out. Do you believe? Did you kind of learn something from that, or do you feel like DC was off and he doesn't really know what you guys got going on?
I called DC and I told him he was off. Listen, if this guy can't throw a jab for 5 minutes without getting tired, we have bigger issues.
Exactly.
They talked about the volume. They're saying, look at Anthony Smith's volume. His volume was double than any other fight he's ever been. His volume was double because Glover kept walking him down the whole fight. What are you supposed to do? Not throw anything and let the guy walk you down for 5 minutes? You can't let somebody like Glover Teixeira just walk into the pocket like that. Like, you can't allow that to happen. So you got to get on the stick. You got to get on the jab, and you got to jab. Like, that's. I mean, what are we talking about here? And listen, don't take that fight out of it and watch how I've coached Grant Dawson. Watch how I've coached Megan Anderson. Watch how I've coached any of these guys at the highest level of the sport. I coach them all the same way. So for him to say that is, I mean, that's his opinion. Once again, I don't really care, but it's what it is,
It's somebody, it's an outsider perspective and something that you touched upon. It's really true. A lot of people, they don't really know what's going on the inside. No. Not to say DC doesn't know about fighting, but he doesn't know.
DC doesn't know on the inside either, though. Like he doesn't know what's going on in the camp. He has no clue.
Exactly.
He's just saying, and I'm not talking bad about it because we had this. I talked to him on the phone. He's saying what's at face value, what's right in front of him. He doesn't know what's going on in the camp. He has no clue. So for him to say that that's his opinion, I mean, but I have an opinion, and so does this next guy on Instagram has an opinion too. Like I don't know what I'm supposed to do with somebody else's opinion. You know what I mean? Like if you look at the grand scheme of things, the people that I go out and coach, they're winning. Do we lose? Yeah, we lose. Everybody fucking loses, man. That's what this game is hard to win all the time. But if you look at the grand scheme of my guys, whenever I'm behind them, more times than not, they win.
Oh yeah. Speaking of Grant Dawson, man, that's a guy that has a very high ceiling, man. I'm very high on that guy. I think he's a stud fighter, that guy, Grant Dawson. And he's happened to win me a good amount of money here as of recently. So, man, I'm a big fan of his. And, yeah, man. But, I mean, let's see. So we touched upon that situation. Who are some of the people that maybe you looked up to? That was another question that I was kind of interested in, man. Who are your idols in the game, man? Who are guys that you tried to emulate your career after?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of the times it's not necessarily like there was people that I tried to be like, and then there was people that I just ended up being like, right? So the favorite guy, like if I had to pick my all-time favorite fighter, it would be Shogun. He was the guy that I grew up watching, but I don't really fight anything like him. So it's great watching him perform, but he's always been in those wars, and I just I've never been down with that, So I like everybody says I look kind of like the Diaz brothers with a little bit more kicks whenever I fight, and I stay long on the jab. I'm really big on not getting hit, man. I'm just really big on defensive fighting and a long career. I'm really big on the jab. I'm really big on high knees, staying long, not getting hit. I mean, I think I've kind of accumulated my own little style over the course of these last 14 years that I don't know if there's somebody that you could bring in to really like be like me. I mean, I'm sure there's some guys that are long, but I switch a lot, I kick a lot, I jab a lot. You know what I mean? I have a little style now that I like how it fits. But yeah, Shogun was the guy that I grew up watching. I was like watching Nick. I like watching Nick Diaz. He was great. I mean, I didn't really like watching one specific person. I pick I like this person's jab. So I'm gonna work this. I like James.
How do you feel about
counter punching? I like so and so's low kick.
How do you feel about GSP's jab? Because I feel like that was a fighter in the game that really, really used the jab. Probably is the best I've ever seen in the game.
100%. He's one of the best jabbers in all of MMA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. And then another guy that has very high fight IQ. Yeah.
100%. Super high fight IQ. Great wrestler for not wrestling too.
Yeah. He used to talk about how he used his karate. I know that you had some karate training as a kid, I believe, right?
I did kind of like not enough to really count though. You know what I mean? Like 6 months or something like that. But I grew up watching the UFC fights. I rented them at the movie stores.
Okay, yeah, same, man. My dad used to bring them back. I know the feeling. But like GSP, he would talk about how he used his karate, his blitzing style, and he kind of converted that karate blitzing attack style into his wrestling, and it really worked good for him, with his MMA. or in his MMA game. So, but another guy that has very high fighter IQ, man, a guy like you. So, so I guess on the horizon, hopefully a Diego Sanchez fight. Maybe that's what we're looking at. I think that'd be a fight that's would be a very good fight for you. I think that's anytime Diego Sanchez fights, people are tuning in. Even when you're fighting, people are tuning in. So you put you two together, it's going to be a spectacular fight. You think of fights with Diego Sanchez, like fights with him and Clay Guida, fights with him and who was the other fighter? One of the Melendez. Yeah, man. Wars. So you throw him in there with James Krause, you know what kind of fight that's going to be as well. So that's a fight that I would like to see. Yeah.
I hope it's not a war.
Yeah, man. I hate to say it, if I'm being brutally honest, at this stage in the game, I think you take him out. I think you take him out on the feet in the first round. I foresee that. He's been through some wars and whatnot, and you're really putting it together right now. I don't think he could handle those shots right now. I don't know.
That's how I foresee the fight going as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but let's make that fight happen, bro. So it'll be a good fight to watch. Yeah, man. All right. We got a question here from Will Salinas. You basically addressed this already, though. Why did you take the fight on short notice at middleweight? You kind of touched upon that,
A couple different reasons. One, the biggest one was the money. I almost doubled my contract whenever I took that fight. So it really helped me financially. It helped me out a ton. But I like the matchup too. To be honest with you, I think I'm better than him. I still think I'm better than him.
Yep.
Coming off the couch, not training. I feel like I was in better shape than him. I felt like I did everything. I feel like I won the fight still. So I really like the matchup. I like the money on it, and I wanted the opportunity. So all those things mixed together, I was willing to take the risk on it.
Yeah. And I think that was a very intelligent move. I remember what I thought personally when I saw that fight get announced and whatnot. I was like, smart move. And then just the way that you performed, I was like, that's a win. First off, I thought you won the fight. And then even after, I'm like, that's a win. That's a win for James all day. So, it's exciting, man. You're talking about like 7 fights in a row. So, yeah, man. If anybody has any other questions, man, comment below. Thanks, because brother. Otherwise, yeah, man, we're going to let James run. And it was a real pleasure, man, having you on. I'm just getting my show started over here, man. This is only the 3rd episode that I've done.
Yeah.
So, mark my words. You're going to see big things from me over here. I'm just putting this all together, and I got a lot of big things on the horizon. So hopefully we'll have a victory appearance from you down the road, and we'll have a lot more eyes on the show, and this thing will keep blowing up. So
definitely, man. You let me know. I'll come back anytime you need me.
That's awesome. Yeah, man, that pretty much wraps it up. Everyone's just pretty much agreeing that you won that fight. So again, man, thank you for coming on the show. It was an absolute pleasure. And we'll all be tuning in for your next fight, hopefully against Diego Sanchez.
I appreciate it a ton. Thank you very much.
All right. Take care, man. Be safe.
Thanks, brother. You too.
All right. There you have it, man. James Krause, a guy, man, that's this guy is really on the up and up in the game, man, coaching a lot of young prospects, like we talked about with Grant Dawson, but doing his thing as well, man. One of the top welterweight fighters in the world. He's basically on a 7-fight win streak. So whoever he fights next, man, it's going to be entertaining to see. You know what time it is, man. We're going to open up the show. I'll preach over here for a little bit, man, but the show is open to you guys. Anybody that wants to jump in, you guys feel more than free to jump on. And we got a lot to talk about, in my opinion. There's a couple things I want to talk about. Definitely the Francis Ngannou Francis Ngannou and the Bones Jones fight. That's something that I want to talk about a lot. I'm curious what you guys all think about that. And I'm going to put the link in. Give me 1 second, guys. The link is posted. For anybody that wants to come on the show, you just click that link and I'll bring you right in, man. Click the link, come in. And let's talk about some stuff, man. Let's talk about Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou. How would that fight play out? Potential fight. How about the opening line with Francis Ngannou at a -160, man? That's a pretty hefty favorite, man. That's pretty crazy. Against a guy in Jon Jones who's a legend in the game, a true legend in the game. And people, after Francis Ngannou's last performance, it seems like everybody thinks that Francis Ngannou is just going to go out there and just knock somebody out within the first minute. I don't know if I tend to agree with that. I think that Francis Ngannou can do that to anybody, but if he doesn't do that, then he has problems on his hands. We saw it with Stipe Miocic. Of course, Stipe is, if not the best heavyweight to ever do it, so it's not necessarily like, okay, everyone's going to go do that to him. That's, there's the recipe. Stipe is a very special guy, a very special fighter. So, yeah, he handled that appropriately. But you're telling me that Jon Jones can't do the same thing? You're telling me that Jon Jones doesn't have the fighter IQ and doesn't have the defensive skills to avoid being knocked out by Francis Ngannou and eventually wear him out, get those takedowns, and work his nasty ground and pound? I could see that happening, man. I could see that fight playing out a couple different ways. I could definitely see Francis getting that knockout, but if he doesn't get that knockout in the first round or early in the second, that fight's done. That fight is done, flat out. That's how I feel about it. Jon Jones, don't forget, he's gonna be bulking up. If this fight does happen, he'll be bulking up, moving up to heavyweight. He's only going to be a better wrestler, a better grappler. He's going to be stronger. Hopefully, he doesn't put on too much size. You don't want his cardio being messed with and whatnot. But either way, the cardio is not going to be a problem against Francis Ngannou, a guy that's very muscle bound, and you see how he gasses out. And you saw, in the knockout that he just had, you saw the technique on that punch that he threw, on a lot of the punches that he threw. He got tagged. Obviously, he has a granite chin. He ate it. But he was just flailing those hooks, man. And I understand they carry a lot of power, but for guys that know how to avoid that, it's going to be tough to connect on guys like that. So I think that Jon Jones should definitely be the favorite going into this fight. What up, Will? Will, click that link, man. Come join the show, man. I'm looking for somebody to chat with. Oh, we got a guy right here, man. Arseny. What up, Ars?
Hey, what's going on, man? You're able to hear me, right?
Yeah, man. Hear you loud and clear, man.
Yeah. It's funny because, my first instinct is, Ngannou knocks out Jones, but then the way you explained it was, you brought up some great points. Honestly, which fight I remembered watching Yoel against Israel Adesanya, and in my mind I thought, man, I think Yoel, I love Israel Adesanya, great fighter, but I'm like, Yoel I think he's gonna knock Israel Adesanya out. Mm-hmm. And that was before I had signed up with you, so I just put some money on Yoel, and man, I regret doing that. And I was like, he's so, and you're right, in hindsight, when you spoke about that fight on the next episode, you're like, Yoel is not a reliable fighter, and
he's not at all.
Yeah, exactly. So it was dumb because in your mind you see a guy who's built like a superhero, and kind of like Francis Ngannou, and you think, oh man, this guy is just gonna tear, he's just gonna tear everyone a new asshole, and then and then reality is a little different,
Yeah.
It's
think about the Francis Ngannou versus Derek Lewis fight. So this guy has clearly shown that he has mental lapses inside the octagon. Not to be too harsh on him, but you know what I mean? You might have a lot of money on him, and he might just not show up that day. Or for the sheer fact that a lot of his fights, they end early. And guys, that could be a good thing or a bad thing, right? If you have money on him, you don't got to stress out the whole time. But if he doesn't get that early finish, there's a lot of fighters that finish fights early. Not all of them, but a lot of them. You got to be a little bit nervous once those fights go to the later rounds, and that's how I feel about Francis Ngannou for sure.
Yeah, even I think we spoke about this last week, but the fact that Ngannou got hit clean by Rosenstrike twice. I think it was twice he hit him clean, and look, his chin held up, but you can't always just depend on your chin like that. What if it doesn't hold up? What if it's that one time it doesn't hold up? And, that's why it's kind of like, I remember Ben Askren saying this when he was fighting, I think before he was fighting Masvidal, before that, the famous knockout. But I remember him saying something intelligent where he said that, I think it was against Robbie Lawler. I'm sorry, after the Robbie Lawler fight, where he's like, I had to show my toughness that fight, but I don't like showing my toughness because he wants people to win with, path of least resistance, like James Krause said, he doesn't want a war. Obviously the fans love a war. We all love watching a war. But as a fighter, you'd rather just get the job done either
Yep.
as fast as possible or as safe as possible without taking any damage.
Definitely, man. No, I agree 100%. But yeah, it's interesting to touch upon that fight because I've heard so many mixed reviews. You know, some people are like, are you crazy? Francis is going to knock him out right away. And then you hear other people going nuts. Like, are you kidding me? Jones is the GOAT. And how dare you disrespect him? I find the line funny. You know, if I really thought this was a fight that's going to happen, I'll tell all you guys, I mean, I would jump on Jones around plus 130. But you know what? If that line starts to move a little bit, that changes things up. And I don't know. This is also a fight. You know, when I usually go in on certain fights, I don't really like to have a fight that has so many question marks in it. You know what I mean? If there's too many question marks, I'll try to stay away from it. Yeah. And this may be one of those fights that just has too many question marks. But and just looking at this and just giving a premature analyzation, I'm like, the line's off. You know what I mean? I expected it to be at least even. I would have been surprised if it was even. You know?
You know, I've heard an opinion before, you know, that like that Cormier matches up better against Ngannou than Jones does because Cormier is better out like the single leg and double leg, but Jones has a lot of his takedowns inside the clinch, so he has to get close to Ngannou. It's more dangerous rather than, you know, Cormier kind of just going for the single double right away. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that opinion has any merit, or you think it's bullshit?
Well, no, I think it has some merit in some aspects, but not that I necessarily agree that Cormier would be better. But like in regards to the single leg, I think those are things that could definitely work better for him, or that could help him better than maybe Jones could do. But there's a lot of things that Jon Jones can do better than Cormier can't. You know, Jones, believe it or not, Jon Jones has a longer reach than Francis Ngannou, first off. So, you know, that's going to help him stay on the outside until he has to get those takedowns, where Cormier is really going to have to get on that inside, you know what I mean, to get those takedowns. Jon Jones maybe could, you know, I feel like Jon Jones is a little bit better of a defensive fighter. I think that he avoids contact a little bit more than Cormier does. I've never seen Jon Jones get knocked out before. You know, I've seen Cormier get, you know, head kicked by Jones and dropped, and you saw what Stipe Miocic just did to him. So I could see Cormier breaking down a little bit more. You know, he's a little bit older. If I had to say my opinion on that, I would say that I would feel more comfortable having money behind Jon Jones at the same odds against Francis Ngannou than Daniel Cormier, in my opinion. But the facts that you brought up, I do agree with. I think those are some of the things that Cormier might have in his pocket against Ngannou that would work out a little bit better than Jon Jones if he tried to implement those same things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And actually, now thinking about it, I mean, personally, I don't know anything, but like if I was Jon Jones, what I would try to do is I would try to just, you know, use my jab to keep a distance, maybe jab right, throw the leg kicks, keep throwing like a crap ton of leg kicks. And then if Francis tries to get really close, maybe like tie him up and try to go for a takedown. I don't know. I mean, that was just my, like, if it was me, that's probably how I would be thinking. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think that would definitely be the path for him to go out there and get the victory. He would definitely have to tie up a lot of tie-ups. Even with the kicks, though, man, you got to be careful because when you throw kicks, a lot of times it opens you up to get punched. So, you know, you don't want to get punched once by this guy. But, you know, of course, it is a fight, and you do got to engage in some aspects. So, yeah, maybe those little, like, step in, calf kick. What is it?
The knee stomp or no?
Yeah, the knee stomp too. Yeah, or like to the shin as well. You know, to the knee and to the shin, like kicking the leg. Yeah, exactly. And throw a couple of those, dance around a little bit, and then just start tying them up. And every round that goes by is a plus for Jones. You know, just make it to the second, the third. Let him lose a little bit of the power. You know, do those little tie clinches and go. Just do whatever. Just hold him. Let all that that acid build up in his muscles and his arms. Let him lose a little bit of that pop. Once he loses that pop, man, you saw him against Stipe. I mean, it's so crazy seeing a guy that's just so dangerous and then instantly, not that he's not dangerous, but instantly just losing so much of that juice because once he loses that speed and that twitch, you know, he already doesn't have the best technique either. His technique's not the best. So, you see those wild shots and they're slower. And then you know what happens? He ain't hitting Jones. Jones will dodge all that. And it'll be a long night for Francis Ngannou. And then I kind of wonder, like if Jon Jones gets those same takedowns that Stipe did, I wonder, a fresh Jones, when he starts dropping elbows, he's nasty, man. I don't know. Maybe he does more damage than we we ever saw Stipe do in that fight.
Yeah, honestly, like now thinking about it and kind of playing it in my mind, I think that if Jones is able to get out of round 1, like I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes in round 2. Like I would say, and definitely round 3, like he could finish, I think, round 3, 4, and 5, maybe even 2. Because like I see like Francis danger level, round 1 is like danger level 1,000,000. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like round 2 is maybe like 200,000. Then like round 3 is like 50,000, and then you know what I mean, and just like round 4 is like 1,000. You know what I mean? Round
it
5,
drops.
Yeah,
it definitely drops a lot.
Yeah, like even you say like let's say like the first even 2 minutes, it already drops. You know what I mean? Because so that
Arseny, let me ask you this. I got a special guest I'm going to bring on right now.
Yeah.
Are you going to hang around? Maybe you want to come on after he leaves? Well, I want to talk a little bit more with you if you're going to be around.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So should I stop the cam?
What's up?
Should I mute myself or stop the cam?
Yeah, I'm going to remove you and I'll bring you back in either way. Or just, once we wrap up with him, you just come back in. Either way, man. Whatever works for you, bro. What's up, bro, man?
What's going on, MMA Fortune? What's going on, man? Thanks for this opportunity.
Yeah, man.
All right, pretty good, man.
Coming on.
Yeah, no worries. We're just getting ready for next Friday. Titan FC is back.
Yes.
We've been stuck at home for so damn long, and it's about time we get some fights down here in South Florida. I think, as doing a little research, I think we're the first regional promotion or other promotion outside from the UFC in the United States that's holding an event. So that's pretty cool. And
let me introduce you real quick, because you know what, nobody even knows who you are. So let me introduce you, man. You go by Roman. That's your last name, correct? Rodolfo Roman.
Yeah. Okay. I go by Roman.
All right.
Yep.
And you were the 2018-2019 Florida MMA award winning best ring announcer, right? And you right there we go. Good stuff. You're the ring announcer for Titan FC. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with Titan FC. One of the top promotions out there, man. One of my favorites, man. I'm always there. I'm always in attendance. So it'll be funny, man. Maybe down the road when things open up again, man, maybe I'll bump into you over there. Of course, this event that's upcoming, of course, there's no crowd, right? Of course.
Yeah, there's no fans. Last I heard, I think it was like 50 people in the building, in the venue that we're hosting this event. Truth be told, I don't even know where the event's going to be held. I'm just waiting for the day of. It's kind of like, just check your phone and I'll tell you where it is. So we're ready for this stuff. There's some procedures that are going to be put in place because of COVID-19. And like I was just telling you, I think the Titan FC is going to set the standard, or going to be paving the way for all these other regional promotions to what has to happen prior to having the event. We're going to get the whole coronavirus testing. The doctors are going to be there, the practicing the social distancing, all that good stuff. So
you're going to get one of those needles stuck right up your nose, huh?
I would presume, I would presume so. I don't think that anyone's going to be allowed there unless you have taken that test, knowing that we're very close to people. I'm going to wear my mask, I'll just take it off when I have to announce. I won't be shaking hands or anything like that. Just going to get myself, protect myself and protect others too, right? It's not just about you, but when you do these things, you're not being selfish. You're actually helping out others as well.
Yeah, man. No, I hear you 100%. So, Titan FC, the last event that I went to, I know it wasn't the last one they did, but I was there when Dana White showed up, man, which I'm sure you remember. I saw you got a picture with him as well.
Yeah.
That was one of the most fun nights I've had in a long time. I was like a kid in the candy store. I was running around Titan FC the whole time, having a few drinks and whatnot. Snuck under the curtain. I heard Dana White was in there. I snuck under that curtain, man. And I don't know if you guys ever seen, I have a video posted, but I just ran right up to him, man, grabbed my phone. He was cool as hell, man. He took a picture with me. And, he kind of ran out there, kind of, left kind of quickly. But, you got to expect that. Everyone's hounding him. What were your thoughts on that night? Yeah.
That was a cool night because, as you know, it was MMA or UFC weekend down here in South Florida because we had our show.
Yes.
And then the following night we had the big UFC event, which
Mm-hmm.
we were supposed to have some great fights. The main event was Yoel versus Costa. That did not happen.
Mm-hmm.
But we got Jacare instead in action. But,
Yeah, I was at those fights too. That's right. The fights were the next day. That's right. I was at those fights.
Yep.
Yep.
But it was a real good excitement. You know, I'll tell you on a personal level, I was nervous as hell because
Oh yeah.
here's Dana White. You know, here's Dana White right in front of
Mhm.
me, and you know, I'm performing in front of him. You
Yeah,
know,
man.
I had interviewed him and met him in previous occasions, but I had interviewed him for my show, but not at the level where I was that day, where I had to perform right in front of him. So, you know, it was a little bit anxiety going into it, and
Yeah.
but
Just to
once I
touch
took a
upon
deep
that
breath, that was cool.
anxiety, just to touch upon that, I mean, because there's a realistic opportunity for a guy like you, man, to be the UFC announcer one day, right? I mean, you got a guy like Buffer who's doing it now, but I mean, how much longer can this guy carry on? You know, I mean, he will keep doing it for a long time, I'm sure, but eventually, you know what I mean? Father Time's going to catch up to him, and then there's going to have to be somebody else that takes over as the UFC ring announcer, man. I mean, I could only imagine, you know, how amazing that would be for somebody to get that position, you know, and obviously that's your goal, correct?
That is my goal. You know, I always wanted to be my first goal of to just kind of give you a breakdown here. I always wanted to be a war correspondent, but that never happened. Um, so then my next thing was to be a professional wrestler, and I messed my back. That never happened. But you know, lo and behold, I got involved with the whole ring announcing, and yes, UFC would be the ultimate for me. Some big shoes to fill, of course, with Bruce Buffer. But another thing that I always looked into was pro wrestling too, an announcer for pro wrestling. But you know, there's so many when it comes to combat sports, you know, boxing and mixed martial arts. There's such a prestige with announcers, and you know their
Yeah,
names: the Bruce Buffers, the Michael Buffers, the Jimmy Lettons,
definitely.
and you know
Who's the other guy
there's
that used to do WEC, but he also works with the UFC a little bit. He's pretty good too. Is his name
Joe
Martinez or
Martinez.
Joe
Joe
Martinez?
Martinez. Yeah,
Very
Joe
good as well.
Martinez. He's done he's done Invicta.
Mm-hmm.
He's done some actually he did Titan FC a long time ago. But yeah, it's he's yeah, you're right. He's done some UFC too as well. And he's I believe he signed with Golden Boy, one of the big boxing promotions. I think it's Golden Boy or another one, but I know it's one of the big boxing promotions. He has a gig with them. But yeah, that would be the ultimate goal. Of course, I'm
And
not Bruce
Rodolfo,
Buffer. I'm not. Yeah.
and you know what the question is? I know a lot of people are wondering right now, and at least I know I am. Is you know, like every ring announcer usually has their own twist on, you know, their way that they get things started. Do you have a catchphrase, or how do you get things started?
Yeah, my thing is just basically, you know, get up, get loud. That's
Get out,
it.
get loud.
You
Yeah,
know,
man.
get
That's
up
right. I
off your
remember.
ass.
Yeah,
Yeah, get
I
up off
remember
your
hearing you.
seats.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, get up off your seats and let's get loud and let's give these guys some energies or
Yeah.
women so they can
Yeah.
go ahead and bring it inside the cage. You
And
know,
do
it's
you strictly just work with Titan FC, or do you work with any other promotions? Did you ever work with Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship when they were down here, or just Titan
I,
FC?
yeah, I didn't work with Bare Knuckle, but I've worked with other companies as well. I've also worked with Combat Night, another strong promotion down here in Florida and also in Georgia. I've also worked with WFC, who
Okay.
they're pretty much all over the country as well. But as far as Titan FC, yeah, I'm with them. I've been with them for now 5 years,
Okay. Good stuff.
and as you know, they always show up on UFC Fight Pass, which is awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, man.
I went to Japan like 2 years ago, and I was at a bar, and somebody said, "Hey, you're the guy from Titan, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So it
Yeah.
just goes to
Wow.
show
Cool
you,
stuff.
yeah, it goes to show you how far that UFC Fight Pass reaches. You know, it's global.
That's true. And Titan FC is really becoming one of the top MMA organizations out there. I mean, they got some real young top prospects coming through Titan FC, and a lot of them working their way right through Titan straight to the UFC. So definitely some high caliber fighters fighting in
Oh,
Titan
no
FC. Definitely.
doubt. We don't even have to go that far. This past weekend, Erwin Rivera, former champion of Titan FC, made his debut, and what a freaking debut he had!
Oh yeah, he
He
did.
had
Yes,
this
he did.
24-hour notice or 48
Yes.
hour notice, and the guy went in there and was wowing everyone. And that guy has such a great story. He fought a deer Terry down here, and his leg was broken.
Uh,
He came back after a year. He tells me the story how he was able to recuperate his leg using natural food and organic medications and all this stuff.
wow.
And he recuperated his leg, came back to action. He became the Titan FC champion, and then boom, he makes it to the UFC. So
Yeah.
that's an incredible story that guy has.
And even though he didn't win that fight technically, I mean, that was pretty much a win for him. Taking that fight on short notice, having the performance that he did. I mean, he was just nonstop action, pressing, and that was an amazing fight. I believe he took on Giga Chikazi, I believe, the kickboxing fighter. Yeah. And that guy's no joke either.
Yeah.
So,
That guy, a kickboxing champion, and Erwin Rivera came in 48-hour notice and gave him a run for his money.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. If you want to stick around and hang out, I'm going to throw a couple people in here, just regular people that are tuning into the show. And so they could bring up any type of fight stuff that we could talk about, man. So if you want to stick around, stay in.
Yeah, I'll catch you next time. Got to take care of the baby.
Okay, go ahead.
But
every
thanks so much for
Thursday,
the
8 p.m., man.
opportunity.
Anytime you want to pop in, man. Thursdays at 8 p.m. we go live. We'll have a different fighter every time. Anytime you want to pop on, we could talk about the Titan FC event or whatever, man.
Good deal, man. And again, May 29th, check it out on UFC Fight Pass. And so glad that we're back. And we have some MMA back on TV soon, hopefully. Who knows when. We'll have some fans. But in the meantime, enjoy yourselves. And you can follow me on Instagram at RomanDH. And hope to catch you at a screen near you. Until next time, thanks for the opportunity, man.
Good stuff, man. Thank you for coming on,
All right, man.
Be safe, man. Take care. I'll be watching.
Appreciate it. Thank you, man. Bye-bye.
Right, brother.
Bye-bye.
All right, man. There you guys have it, man. That's Rodolfo Roman. And this guy, this is a guy, man, that you guys are going to notice. You're going to be seeing him out there quite often, man. This is a very good ring announcer, man, working with Titan FC. What's up, Will? I got Will and Arseny on, man. What's up, guys?
Yep.
Arseny, you there? There he is.
I'm there, man. Yeah, I'm there.
What's up, guys? What up, Will?
Hey.
Hey.
Hello, MMA fortune teller.
What's up, Will? What were your thoughts on all the fights that we had taken place, man, since the last show? I guess we had really all we had was that Saturday event, right?
There's an event on May 30. The theory, I don't know that has been confirmed.
Oh, coming up in the future, yes.
The Apex. Yes.
No, but I was saying, what were your thoughts on the last event that we had, which was the what was that? What event did we have that last Saturday?
Overeem. It was Overeem.
Yeah, Overeem
Harris. So
Overeem,
you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy, Teller? I actually an hour earlier the fight, the main event, I actually predict that I didn't bet, but I predict that Alistair was gonna KO Walt Harris, because I imagine that the loss of her daughter, or of her daughter, of his daughter, was really was really a big time, was really a sad time, for him. And I predicted like he cannot win the fight, even he wanted to so badly win the fight. I predicted Alistair by KO.
See, for me, I won't say I necessarily agree with you on that. In my mind, I wouldn't say that, in my opinion, at least, that he lost that fight or Walt Harris lost that fight because of his daughter. I think it came down to, and this is the reason why I picked Alistair Overeem, is simply that Alistair Overeem is one of the best fighters to ever step inside the octagon or step inside any fighting promotion. He's a real legend. And if you don't knock him out,
Yeah,
if Walt Harris didn't knock him out, and he almost did, but he didn't, if he didn't get that knockout, first off, you're exerting yourself with all that energy. And then you have a guy that's a true professional, and Alistair Overeem, that's going to come and start attacking you. And let's not forget, this is a K1 champion kickboxer. You know, this is a champion at striking. This is a guy that's knocked out numerous guys inside the octagon. And if you stand with him, he can knock you out as well. We've seen him do it to guys like Junior Dos Santos. And it was just two bulls that were locking horns. And Alistair Overeem is the more crafty veteran that's going to show up on fight night with better cardio because he's a more true professional. Walt Harris, we've seen that in his career, you know, quite a few times. He's kind of a, you know, he has to finish you early, man. Sometimes he has little mental lapses or doesn't have the best cardio. I don't personally think it was his daughter. I just think that if he doesn't knock out Alistair Overeem in the first round, and anytime they fight, Overeem's going to win that fight. You know, that's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what were your thoughts on that, Arseny?
No, so I actually I agree with you, Teller. So I was gonna put a little bit of money on Alistair by KO, TKO, or DQ. I didn't even check the line because I was too scared to. Like, I was thinking about it because he was plus 130, and I thought most likely they're heavyweights. Walt Harris is going to get tired. I thought I could get really good odds on it because usually I think if it's plus 130, maybe by KO, TKO, or DQ, would probably go up to at least plus 160, maybe even as high as plus 200 because, you know, it's a prop bet. But and you know, I do agree with you. The experience is a big factor, but I didn't do it. I was honestly too scared because I was like, oh man, like Alistair, you know, his chin. I don't know how his chin is gonna hold up, and Walt Harris is, you know, he's a big dude, big heavy puncher. But like, I kind of regret not putting a little bit of money on that. Would have been an extra profitable night. But yeah, no, it was definitely a great fight, and you know, it's unfortunate. All of us want to see like you know, kind of like the heartwarming story. You know, I think everyone was kind of cheering for Walt, but unfortunately, I mean, like you know, Alistair's a great guy too, so it's not like I kind of felt bad for Alistair because it's kind of like, you know, it kind of felt like, you remember when Justin Gaethje beat Nick Newell, like back at, I think it's kind of like that. It's like
I just watched that fight the other day. I saw some highlights of that fight.
Yeah, like it's kind of, there's no winning in that fight, man. Like, how are you going to beat a guy who's going through it, like adversity, going through that situation, and then you beat him, and then you feel like you're a piece of garbage because, you know, like, oh man, I just ruined this guy's dream. You know what I mean? Like one of those. But I mean, you know, it's a sport, man. Like it's
competition. It's competition always.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. That's true.
And I mean,
when you got guys that are as professional as Alistair Overeem, those are the type of guys that are not going to care about your whole story. You know, they're going to go in to take your head off. And you saw him.
I did feel like he was being, I don't know, again, maybe I saw it the wrong way. I did feel like when he was doing the ground and pound, the finishing sequence, I did feel like he was giving him away. Like he wasn't trying to take his head off in the end. I felt like kind of like Glover at the end against Smith. I felt like, you know, he wasn't like trying to like kill the guy. You know how sometimes you see, what's his name? The guy who got knocked out by Calvin Kattar.
Jeremy Stevens.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes Jeremy's
trying to kill the guy.
And I'm like, Jesus Christ, man! Like the guy's like out. Like, you know, you don't have to kill him. But
Jeremy likes to take your soul. That's what Jeremy Stevens does.
Like I felt like maybe I'm wrong, but I felt like Alistair and what's his name, and Glover, I felt like towards the end, you know, they didn't want to give the guy too much damage. Like they were kind of like, you know, they wanted to show that, yo, like I'm gonna end this fight this round, but but they weren't like really trying to like, oh my God, I'm gonna like break this guy's jaw or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know what? You know what? Also, I thought about, man, I feel so bad for Edson Barbosa. I mean, I love the guy, and how many decisions in a row has he been screwed with?
Yeah, two, at least two. He won the Paul Felder.
Too many.
Right? Yeah, the Paul Felder fight. He won that fight.
Yeah.
Yep.
He won that.
He won. Exactly. And I remember that was the Khabib card that I put some money on. I put money on Khabib and Belal Mohammed, like that, something Belal like that Muhammad. Is his name. Belal Mohammed, that's right.
Yeah.
And win some bucks from that card. And I saw the co-main first, and I just thought, like, the first thing, you know, just that crossed my mind, that this fight is just a robbery, because Edson Barbosa is one of the best strikers in the lightweight division, you know.
And now he's at
And
featherweight and he's looking great. Will, how about this? I'll tell you guys
yeah,
this much. I had money. I had a big play on Edson Barbosa the first time, or in their rematch. Actually, I believe it was the rematch. But the last fight that he got screwed in against Paul Felder, I had a play on him then. So I thought I won. You know, that was a play that I thought I won. Got robbed from the judges, and then Edson Barbosa was my third play that I had this past weekend. So I got robbed on that decision too. Fortunately enough for me, I already won my 2 fights that I had placed on Nate, the guy Nate Lanswar. And my other play was what was my other play? The young Puerto Rican fighter Baeza. Yeah, Miguel Baeza. So fortunately enough for me, I had a 4-unit play on Miguel Baeza and then a 4-unit play on Nate. So I was already up very, very big, you know, going into that fight. I had a 2.5-unit play at Edson Barbosa. It should have been a clean sweep, though. You know, I mean, those are the nights that you want those when you have them there, you know, for the taking. But the judges screw you, man. The judges will screw you. And we just talked about that with James Krause. You know what I mean? James Krause, we just touched upon that. You know, James Krause, I'll be honest with you guys. I did kind of think James kind of could have won that fight, but that was a fight that could have gone either way. I wouldn't say so much a robbery. Whereas I thought Edson Barbosa won that fight, period, man. Both those fights. You know, both his last 2.
You know, I saw a funny comment on YouTube.
Yeah,
that the judges for the fight were Charlie Zelenoff, what was the other one? CM Punk and one more guy. Like it was like a funny joke. I forgot what the third one was, but it was ridiculous like that. Yeah,
that's funny, man.
Adelaide Bird, or something.
Adelaide Bird
or something. Like, yeah. That was like the Canelo Triple G fight, I think. Right?
Was it? Boxing, bro. Oh my God, boxing. Don't even get me started
about it, man. You know what's sad? I feel like in boxing, the refs are corrupt. No, I'm sorry, not the refs. The judges are corrupt, but in MMA, the judges are incompetent. That's what I feel like the difference. And I feel like it's better to be. I mean, they're both bad, but at least if you're corrupt.
I mean, in MMA, there's not much money as boxing. You know, in boxing, there's a lot of fucking money. Than the UFC, you know, that's in general mixed martial arts. In boxing, there's a lot of money, you know, and of course, one thing that happened every fight since the early 2000s, this was corruption. I think, you know, the Triple G and Canelo. The first draw against when the fight was Tyson Fury and Deontay, that went to a draw. That was a robbery for Fury, you know.
Oh, the first fight with Tyson Fury, that was one of the biggest robberies I've ever seen, ever.
Yeah,
it was disgusting.
His comeback, his great comeback by Fury. Actually, I became a fan after the second fight. Was incredible KO from Fury to Wilder. I actually picked Wilder to win that fight.
I had Tyson Fury in both of those. And if you go back, it's all documented. You could hear me talk about both these fights. Even simply, if you go to my Instagram, when they had the rematch the second time, you could see it on my Instagram story. It was right after a UFC event, and I was heading over to the bar to catch that boxing match. And I told everybody, I saved it right on my story. I said, the first fight was a complete robbery, and the line was off. If you're betting on Deontay Wilder, you're betting that he gets the flash knockout. And we already seen that he could hit Tyson with his best shot, and Tyson still gets up. Yeah. And I told everybody Tyson Fury is a way better boxer, and the media was so biased. ESPN, they're all biased. They're just like all these different news stations. ESPN is the most biased sports news station ever, but all their guys were on that show, all talking about how it was all about Deontay Wilder. You know, Deontay Wilder. They wanted to push that narrative, and they didn't want to talk about Tyson Fury, and that's why Tyson Fury still to this day doesn't get as much credit and as respect as he should. He should be undefeated. He's the linear heavyweight champion. He's one of the best heavyweight boxing champions we ever had. But if you even bring up talking about Tyson Fury fighting a guy like Muhammad Ali or Joe Frazier, they want to laugh it off, and maybe there's reasons behind that. But Tyson Fury is one of the best boxers, best heavyweight boxers ever. I'll take him against all those legends. Throw him in there with all those legends.
But check this out, Teller. I feel like, you know what, a kind of silver lining to this is this. sometimes I feel like because of the biased media, you can get good odds on a fight.
Yes, that's true.
You know what I mean? Because if
definitely,
if the media was really smart and they said, "Hey, man, this guy is definitely going to win," then you're gonna get Tyson Fury at like minus 500 odds, and you know what I mean. It's gonna be, you're not gonna make that much money. Versus now, like I said, I only made a little bit of money on that, but I had him at plus 500 by knockout because I had a feeling.
Oh wow, you took that?
Yeah, huh? Yeah. I put him by because I had a feeling, like I saw his interview where he said, "I'm not going to let it get into the judges' hands." And I know a lot of people say it was just talk, but I honestly did believe him because I thought that, hey, man, like if I got robbed like that, I want to make sure that I'm not going to take it out of the judges' hands. And Tyson is, people say that, oh, this guy has pillow hands, which is bullshit. You know what I mean? The guy's a heavyweight. He doesn't have pillow hands. You know what I mean?
Like, he's a heavyweight. He's a heavyweight.
I mean,
how can he have pillow hands?
You know what I mean? I'm like, the guy does not have pillow hands. And so I thought that, but maybe he was just talking smack. So that's because of that, I feel like you're able to get good odds sometimes because of biased media.
Yeah, no.
Like
I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah, if everyone was smart, then all the good picks would be like minus 1,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's true. And well, in speaking of that, man, that's something that we saw happen in the MMA game. Because I don't know if you guys were around way back in the day. You used to be able to get fights like it was crazy. You used to be able to capitalize on certain odds. The game has changed a lot in the last like 4 or 5 years. If you go back like 6, 7, 8 years, like way back in the day. If you were able to find a place to lock some bets in, you were able to get crazy odds. Guys back then that were like minus 250, 200. Like sometimes nowadays you'll see fights like that. Certain guys, they're like minus 800 and the different minus 700. And remember back then too, a lot of fights were mismatches back then. It's not the same, but I'm talking about for MMA and the UFC. Back then, you would see kind of what you see in Bellator more often as well, too. In Bellator, you see like more steep odds. And the UFC nowadays, it's really tough because you're getting the cream of the crop, and they're all competent fighters. But like back in the day, man, it was a whole different ballgame.
It's when you think of mismatch, the first fight that comes to my mind is, remember Fedor against Zuazinho? You remember the big?
I don't remember who. Oh, the big African guy.
Yeah, the overweight guy.
Yeah.
That was the funniest fight in my opinion ever. He was like a big bouncer guy from like he was like a bouncer in Brazil. Obviously tough dude. You know what I mean? But like against Fedor, come on. I mean,
it's a joke. Pride used to put on some real circus type of fights, man. They had a couple of those that I remember. Remember that big Japanese guy? What was that big dude?
Korean guy.
The Korean guy. Yeah, and his head was like the size of my torso.
Yeah, his head. I was like, Jesus, man. This guy like the size of my chest, like my whole freaking upper body. Yeah,
I've seen him get knocked out a few times, but they loved it. They love those freak shows. And so wait, that guy that you were just talking. No. So the guy you were just talking about that fought Fedor. That wasn't. What was his name again? One more time.
Zuazinho.
Okay, that's a different. I remember him, but now there was another Brazilian guy, and he had a Silva last name as well, I believe. Remember the giant Brazilian guy?
Wait, who knocked Fedor out? Right? Finished him with ground and pound.
No, this guy never finished Fedor. No, remember he was a giant Brazilian guy. Anyone listen? If you remember who I'm talking about, comment below. There was a giant Brazilian guy. He had like caveman hair. He had long hair, and one time he charged the ring he was holding a big wooden thing. It was like a show. Remember, he was like trying to get somebody.
Let me Google it, man.
I believe he was another Brazilian Silva.
Something is it like something da Silva?
No.
The other Silva.
But he was he was like a character. You know what I mean? He wasn't.
At his time, wasn't Bigfoot Silva?
No, not Bigfoot. No.
It was I don't know. Did he fight Fedor? Because I seen him fight other people.
I'm gonna get his name right now.
Giant Silva. I think it's like the Giant Silva. The Giant Silva. Yeah, I think it's the Giant Silva. Yep. Yeah, the Giant Silva.
Switch for it.
What was his name?
Fedor.
Yeah, Giant Silva. There he is. Yeah.
He
Paulo or Cesar de Silva.
Yeah, exactly.
His record was 2-6. And they just kept throwing him in there just to make a show. You know what I mean?
He beat Akabono. He lost to Herring.
Akabono.
The rest. Oh, James Thompson. He lost to. I thought it was James Thompson, the boxer.
He lost to James Thompson. No, James Thompson was that tough English guy.
Yeah.
He actually fought Kimbo Slice, did he? Or he fought a lot of big names. He had like the whole physique. He looked tough, but he wasn't a real fighter. You know what I mean? He really wasn't. He lost all the time.
I'm searching about Giant Silva and just comes from the internet, just WWF stuff.
No. Type in Giant Silva. Type in Giant Silva MMA, and right on the Wikipedia, you'll see his record and everything.
MMA, right?
He also did like fake. Remember that guy? And he really was a wrestler. You know, he was a fake wrestler, not like real wrestling, but he was a wrestler, like WWF. You know what I mean? He did all the promotion type stuff. You know, one time I forget what fight it was. He was hyping it up. He came in with like a big 2x4 or something.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. See, Kimbo exploded Thompson's here. That's right, JT.
Like
You know who we remind
me of? A giant. Like it's real a giant. You know, watching. Wow. It's like the Great Khali in WWE. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, Pride, man. Pride was a very interesting organization.
With his pants on, fought. I saw fights here that he used to wear his pants on.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
What was that? I didn't quite catch that. What happened?
There's a picture on images with him. He's fighting this smaller Japanese guy fighting sweatpants, like with just like, you know what I mean? When with just sweatpants, yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's just kind of funny.
Yeah, man. Pride was a very interesting organization, man. Very interesting, man. It's a great topic, man. One of these days, I should really go into we as a group, man, we should all talk about a lot of these Pride fights because they really had some of the most interesting bouts take place in the organization back in the day. I remember Rampage Jackson getting kneed right in his face by Shogun, falling through the ropes. I mean, crazy fights, man. You see soccer kicks and whatnot.
You remember that Randleman slam? The Randleman when he slammed
Fedor?
Dude, that was ridiculous. I was like, I think I would have been dead. Like if he slammed me like that,
no, seriously,
paralysis. Like
I think almost anybody would have been paralyzed except for Fedor. Fedor was he's ridiculous, man. He's like a tank. Hey, just real quick, one of you guys have your playback going. I don't know who it is, but you could kind of hear like a repeat going in the background. It might be a little annoying to everyone listening, but I don't know who. Maybe.
Yeah. Let me try to mute myself.
Let's see. Maybe we'll try one. Let's see. Hello. Yeah, it went away.
Yeah. Like like your voice is sounding like twice.
Can you still hear us though? Arseny?
Yeah, what's up?
All right, good. It's better. It went away.
Okay.
But what were some of your guys' most notable Pride fights that you guys remember?
Well, I just saw the commentary. I didn't really see all the Pride fights or the half of I saw Overeem against Chuck
Liddell.
You know?
Chuck Liddell won that fight, correct?
Yeah. The first it was a tournament, I saw another commentary on UFC Fight Pass, which started with Overeem. I'm sorry, it started with Chuck winning over Overeem, and then Chuck
might have lost to Rampage around that time frame too, right? Didn't Rampage beat him over there in Pride?
And then it was a tournament. It was a tournament actually to determine who was better, the UFC or Pride. You know?
That's right.
And then Dana, telling the story.
All them went over there. That's right. Dana, he brought Chuck. That's right. When Dana was managing Chuck. That is right, man.
Yeah, and then I was telling the story of Chuck getting himself confidence because he already beat Overeem and thought that Rampage was going to be easier than Overeem and something like that.
Well, you know what? Yeah. Just in regards to that fight that took place with Chuck Liddell and Rampage the second time around, that was a fight that obviously the UFC brass set up. They put that together because they wanted Chuck Liddell to get his redemption, and it did not go well at all for Chuck. For those of you guys that remember that nasty, I think it was a left hook that Rampage hit Chuck with. It was nasty.
Yeah.
For you guys catching me on Instagram, man, I'm live right now on YouTube. come join, man. We're talking Pride. We had James Krause on the show earlier. Now we're talking Pride fights. So feel free to come join the show, man. I got Arseny and Will Salinas, man. We're talking Pride.
You know, I was thinking about Overeem. I remember watching like some like motivational video of Overeem, like him. I think he got finished when he got finished by was it Shogun? I don't remember who he got finished by, and then like him being all beat up, and then him kind of coming back, moving up to heavyweight. I mean, I have a lot of respect for Alistair Overeem because I mean, like him getting, obviously, him getting KO'd a lot and him getting finished, but at the same time still having a winning record, still coming back, still being dominant. I mean, the guy is a tank. I mean, look at what happened even recently with the Jairzinho fight, man. That lip looked terrible. He comes back and beats a stunner like Walt Harris, and he's just, I mean, the guy has, I mean, again, getting knocked out by Francis Ngannou, then coming back, and he's still up there. He's still a top-ranked guy. So I have a tremendous respect for Alistair.
And just to touch upon that a little bit, what's so impressive about it is that I mean, think about certain fighters that you guys know of that start to get knocked out. Usually when they start to get knocked out, that's the downhill slope of their career, man. They really start to just continuously get knocked out until they eventually retire. And what Alistair Overeem has done with his career, he's such an intelligent fighter that he's kind of made a new style with his fighting. He's very defensive. He doesn't engage too much. He likes to circle a lot. He likes to pick his spots where he goes in and strikes, where he eventually gets his knockout sometimes. But just to see the level of fighter IQ that a guy like Alistair Overeem has, that's the only reason why I don't think he's getting knocked out continuously. Because if he didn't make those changes, I think you would see him get knocked out just about any time. He's had so much mileage on his brain and his chin from the kickboxing wars, all the MMA fights that he's been through. He has too much mileage, and he's 40 years old now. And a guy like him, man, if he goes and he engages, he's going to get knocked out.
Yeah, he's the most experienced heavyweight ever, I think, in my opinion.
I think so.
He debuted in 1997, which is like 23 years fighting, every year, every single day.
He's a real gladiator, right, Will?
Time off.
He's a gladiator. He's a real gladiator, man. Yeah,
it's a gladiator, man. You're correct, Teller. He's been fighting, since 97, which is very impressive for a guy like him.
I was just a little kid, man. I was a little kid in 97. The Florida Marlins won their first World Series in 1997. I was a young buck.
Me too. Me too. The UFC it wasn't even famous yet. And what's crazy that Alistair Overeem started fighting that year and hasn't been any time off from fighting.
Yeah,
crazy.
Man. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Overeem. Speaking of Overeem, there was an article that came out. Overeem favors Jon Jones to beat Francis Ngannou, but he doesn't believe that Jon Jones. He doesn't believe he'll accept the fight. He thinks it's all talk. So that's just Alistair Overeem's thoughts on that fight. I believe they have some training together too.
Friends. Jones and Overeem.
Yes, yeah. They trained over at Jackson Wink. They trained.
Yeah,
they're friends.
I believe he has a good point.
Friends.
Because I mean, I feel like Jon Jones is a smart fighter. Obviously, it's funny because he doesn't really do the smartest things in his personal life, but as a fighter, he has a great fighter IQ. Kind of like Floyd. Sometimes Floyd does dumb stuff in his personal life. He's like
not only in his personal life. Floyd Mayweather is dumb as rocks. I mean, literally, Floyd Mayweather can barely read a 6-year-old book. But when it comes to boxing, that's all he's done his entire life. That was his education. The kid, he never went to school. The guy, he didn't have any of his parents teaching him how to read books and put his mind into education. He was taught to box. That's what Floyd Mayweather was groomed to do since he was a little kid, man. And that's why, exactly to your point, though, those are guys that are so intelligent inside the ring or the cage.
Yeah, I always find that funny when you got a fighter who, in his or her personal life, they make like really bad decisions. But then once it comes to the ring, you're like, damn, this guy's like a freaking mastermind. Like, why can't you make those decisions you make in the ring outside the ring? You know what I mean? Like, I always find that kind of funny. Like,
you know what's my take on that whole thing too? I mean, it might not be the same as everybody's, but I'm a different type of guy. But you know, like what Jon Jones does when he gets in trouble outside of the octagon, it's like it really is stupid. And when I say it's stupid in the sense that it's not like, okay, getting arrested in general is stupid, and doing any type of stupid stuff like that. Okay, it's dumb. But like, at least if you're going to get in trouble and get arrested for something, make it for something that like that's worthwhile. You know what I mean? That's actually kind of fun and crazy, man. If you're like a wild dude, you're like, you know what? I don't care if I get arrested because I'm the champion of the world and I don't care. And nobody can do nothing about it. I'm a wild guy. You know what I'm saying? He tries to put on this whole persona like he's like this church guy, and then he does these stupid things, like stupid stuff, like he's on the side of the road, like talking with a bum, drinking and driving. Like that's really stupid. You know what I mean? Waking up the next day, crashing your car, and then like running with the pipe, leaving the pipe and all your information. Like if you're gonna be stupid, like I've done some really stupid things, but my stupid stuff is like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, like, you know, I had fun doing what I did. You know what I'm saying? Like I look back, my stupid experiences, which are crazy. I've had some crazy experiences. My stupid stuff, it's like I'm happy that I did them now because I'm like, you know what? Those are no one can say that they did that and this and that, man. I was wild when I was young, and you know what? Now I'm getting older and I'm becoming a man, this and that, or you know, I'm gonna have a family, this and that. Okay, I got that out of my system. You know what I mean? I got all that stuff out of my system. I did all this crazy stuff. You know what I mean? I had experiences, man. The stuff that he does is like it's stupid. You know what I mean? It's boring. It's stupid. Like
bro.
Like if you get it, like I get what you're saying. Like for example,
Jones.
What's go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Jon Jones, talking about all the mistakes he's made over the years, how many troubles, how many hearings he has been in, you know, it's just like a disaster. I think that the last thing that he did, I think that he pulled a gun, you know, in at night with his car, something like that, which to me was like crazy, you know, just like you are a professional fighter and a millionaire, you know.
And how old is he now? That's another thing too. He's just about as old as me, I believe. He's around 30. He has two kids. I think he might even have 3 kids. I don't know, 2 or 3 kids. So that's another thing to take into consideration. And he's still doing this stupid stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing if you're like 24 years old, which me personally, I'm 31 now, but I used to do a lot of crazy stuff when I was like, you know, in my early 20s, and it kind of simmered down by the time I was 24, 25. You know what I mean? 26, you know, it kind of simmered down. You know what I mean? And I had no kids anyway. He had kids when he was very young. He had kids. But if you have kids and you're still doing these stupid things almost in your 30s, that's an issue. You know what I mean? And I'm somebody, I'm like, that guy is really like a dodo. He's a dodo, bro, that guy.
I think what happens, I think that might be part of the reason is sometimes I feel like people who have kids too early, they have to grow up really fast and they don't really have a chance to have an adult, you know, like a young adult. You can't go, you know, to the bar or hang out or whatever. You know what I mean? You have to be a father right away. And then all of a sudden, you know, you're like, you get older and you're like, oh crap, I missed out on that. Let me realize how did it, like, listen, actually it's funny because I have a family friend kind of, you know, the guy, he's like a middle-aged man, very successful, very wealthy man, but like, you know, he got divorced and then he started like going to raves and stuff. And I'm like,
you know, it's like he never experienced all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. He's like 50 years old. You know what I mean? Mind you, like wealthy guy, successful guy, but he's like going to raves and stuff. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, you know, you look ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I'll tell you my take on that too, because I'm going to give you my insider knowledge from what I know. The only reason why I believe that not to be true, I had a friend that went to the same high school up in Endicott, New York, as Jones and all his brothers. So first off, Jones was already kind of like, you know, he was like a jock, you know, played football and whatnot, but he was kind of a party dude at the same time. And then when he went to college, even in college, bro, he was a wild dude. I believe he went to college with Colby Covington. If you guys ever seen those stories, Jones wasn't like some guy that was like, just to paint the picture, he wasn't some guy that was like, you know, couldn't do anything. I think he's been kind of like crazy, bro, from the beginning, from the stories that I heard, bro. I heard that he was at like, you know, those college parties, like getting drunk, getting in fights and stuff inside the, you know, in the apartments and stuff, like at house parties.
Maybe, you know, maybe also another thing is because he's never really faced defeat. You know, he's always had success. Maybe there's been an opportunity for him to humble himself and to be, you know, and to kind of rethink things. Because I mean, think about it. If you keep winning, like no matter what Jon Jones has done, he's always like, even though like won that last fight, but still, you know, no matter what Jon Jones does, he wins. So there's never really been repercussions for his actions. You know what I mean? Like, for example, like if I do something stupid, you know, usually I think about it, oh snap. But for him, no matter what he does, he's still Jon Jones. He's still on top of the world. So maybe if he gets handed his first loss or something like that happens, he's gonna keep doing what he wants to do because he's like, it's kind of like, it's kind of like no matter what he does, he still succeeds. So it's like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yo, Will, I just mute you a little bit just because there's some background noise. But as soon as you talk, I'll unmute you. You know what I mean? But don't worry. If you talk, I got you.
I just put your finger and that's it. Yeah, you know,
I got you.
This my brother speaking on his cell phone that, you know, this story.
No, and just to touch upon the Jon Jones situation too, I do believe that Jon Jones, you know, even though I don't think that he grew up in like the most crazy situation in the ghetto and whatnot, nothing like that. But he grew up within some tough times as well. I believe, you know, he didn't really have the most proper upbringing. I think that he just had he came from a single family, and he did lose his mom. You know, he lost his mom when, you know, I guess kind of a younger age. I believe he lost his mom in the last couple of years or so. So, you know, he just has his own little demons in his mind from some family issues or whatnot. I don't know exactly what it is. Maybe he lost a sister. I don't want to say nothing crazy. I think he lost a sister when he was young. I know there was some type of sad story with Jon Jones when he grew up. I think he lost his sister or something. So, you know, maybe he just has some personal things, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
But Gilbert F and Burns, Bill 808 said.
Yeah,
man. That's a fight, man.
Wait, is it? You know what? I thought it was Leon Edwards against Tyron Woodley. It's not. It's Gilbert Burns against Tyron.
Gilbert Burns now. Yeah, man.
Burns. Yeah.
Gilbert
I got Woodley.
Go ahead, Will. Sorry.
Yeah, I got Woodley. I think that Woodley can get it done against Burns. You know, it's nothing against Burns. I think he's a great fighter. Yes, I think that Woodley is coming off rarely like 1 year layoff or more than a year layoff.
Who is that? Who's coming off the
Woodley? Woodley is coming off a layoff, you know, since he lost his title.
Last fight was against Usman. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. And I think that Woodley can get it done, to be honest. I don't see. What do you think, Taylor? What do you think? You think that
I think it's an extremely close fight. And I think it's an extremely close fight for the sheer fact that, you know, Woodley, the performance that he's coming off of, he got absolutely dominated by Usman. I understand that Usman is one of the best fighters, you know, out, period. I definitely get that. But the way that he got dominated, it wasn't a good look. And I think that Gilbert Burns is a very, very, very skilled fighter. His jiu-jitsu is nasty, but it's not even just his jiu-jitsu, which is his base, which is so nasty. So if this fight hits the mat, you know, Gilbert Burns is going to be able to hold his own against Woodley. But it's his striking. He's been training with Henry Hooft and all those guys over at Hard Knocks 365 for a good amount of time now, and his striking has really came around. I give him the edge. As far as him striking with Woodley, I give him the edge. So I think I'm going to pick Burns in that fight, but I haven't made an official pick. I got to go back, and I really got to cram more tape. But I favor Burns at this point in time. And I get it. Like, it's easy to pick Woodley, you know, the ex-champion. It's easy to pick him to win the fight, but it could be a dangerous fight.
For Woodley.
For Woodley.
You know, you think that Burns can upset Woodley and go for a title like next year? If it's not playing here,
I 100% do. Yeah. if the cards fall appropriately for Gilbert Burns, there's no reason why Gilbert Burns can't be fighting for a title relatively soon. I mean, you go in there and he gets a knockout over Woodley in the first or second round, or gets a submission. I mean, you're talking about a guy that just went in there and finished, the ex-champion, and you go in there and do that in a dominating way. Who's next for Burns? Maybe one more fight and then a belt. You know what I mean? Hey, I mean, you want to talk about fighting for the belt. Well, what fights are below fighting for a belt? I think that the Woodley fight is as close as you can get to fighting for the belt. So you go in there and you knock out Woodley in the first round, you got a title shot waiting, for you.
Wow.
Who else is up there? I mean, in the welterweight division, you got Usman. Colby Covington lost, that fight against Usman. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Colby. I don't know if who they're going to give Colby. Of course, you got Jorge Masvidal. I would like to see Jorge Masvidal fight against Colby Covington. I would like to see those two guys.
Okay.
What about Leon Edwards?
Oh, and then you got Leon Edwards sitting there too. The thing is with Leon Edwards, he got screwed big time, man. He was supposed to fight Woodley. He lost that fight now. Gilbert Burns goes out there and knocks out Woodley. He just jumped Leon Edwards. And maybe they match up Leon Edwards and Gilbert Burns after that. That could be a fight that we see. But, he just got jumped for sure by Burns. Burns going out there, knocking out Damian Maia, knocking out Tyrone Woodley. He's going to surpass Edwards. And at the same time, Edwards is an excellent fighter, but he wants to have, that I won't say his style is that boring, but he kind of does have a little bit of a boring style. And he wants to still, he doesn't want to use his mouth. He doesn't want to talk and promote the fights. And you want to let Masvidal come up and smack you up like that and just stand there. You know what? That's the way that your career is going to go. You want to sit there and get smacked up by somebody and not do anything about it, and be stupid enough to allow that to happen, to drop your guard. It's funny because that's how his career is going too. That's exactly how Leon Edwards' career is going. He's not sharp. He allowed his situation to be the way that it is. He's an excellent fighter. I talked about it with James Krause earlier. Use your mind. Know how to promote a fight, man. Know how to build up a character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then get some exciting fights. You know what I mean? And if you don't do that, I don't feel bad for you. That's why, as far as I'm concerned, throw Leon Edwards to the back of the line, because I really don't even care to watch the guy fight. It's really not like he's going out there and having these spectacular performances where his fights are so exciting anyway. He's just a very good fighter. He's a really good fighter. He's a very technical and very well-rounded fighter. That's just boring.
Chael Sonnen built himself up, even though he didn't have the most exciting style with, learning how to talk smack. Even Colby Covington, did the same thing. I mean, you're right. I mean, listen, if it's your career, it's the amount of money that you're getting in your pocket. You got to take every edge that you can. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whether it's talking smack or if it's part of the game, man. It's part of the – listen, you may not agree with it. You want to be humble and whatever. But listen, I mean, the casual fans determine, what are the big pay-per-views. And the casual fans either want to see someone with crazy knockouts like Ngannou, or they want to see someone, or even Conor McGregor, or you want to see someone who can talk a lot of smack, or both.
Yeah.
Ideally,
but
both.
Arseny, it's not even just the common fan as well, because there are some diehard fight fans that just tend to gravitate towards that too. Sometimes there's guys like me, bro, that have watched thousands and thousands of fights. And you know what? Sometimes I like to see a little, a little fire under their ass, man. I like to see a matchup where it's it's a little bit more exciting. You know what I mean? Where I see the weigh-ins and they're talking shit. I'm like, all right, now, I want to make sure, I want to be tuned in for that fight. You know what I mean? I'm going to watch every fight regardless. But even somebody like me, that's I've seen every fight ever. Sometimes I like to see it get spiced up a little bit. And just to touch upon the James Krause conversation, I hate to be harsh on people because I like James Krause. He's an awesome dude. And there's nothing against him because he said how he felt about it, and I truly believe it. He said, I'm not going to be fake, and I'm not going to do something that's not really me. It's just not me. And it's hard for these guys to do it. And he's right. Some of these guys still try to do it, and then it sounds really corny. But there's guys like me, bro. If I ever made it to the UFC, I would be a Conor McGregor type of fighter. I'd be better than him. I could talk more crap than Conor McGregor, bro. And that's part of the reason why eventually I do want to work my way over to management. Eventually down the road, I definitely want to be a manager. Because it's simple.
Yeah,
it's simple, man. You go out there, you have a performance like you see these guys do time and time again. You see these guys go out there and get these amazing performances, and then you know what? Hop on the mic, call your shot, and this is how you call somebody out. It's not like, oh, hey, I want to fight you. It's like, you know what, man? You're a punk. If you don't fight me, you're the fight I want. If you don't fight me, I'm gonna show up to your gym and I'm gonna come fight you in your gym. I'm gonna show up to your house. You know what I mean? Like Mike Tyson said, if you don't show up, if you don't sign the contract, you shame your family. You know what I mean? You're a you know what? You know what I mean? You're a little this. You know what I'm saying? And then you know what? If that guy doesn't sign the contract, he's a punk. He's a punk. And you know what also happens? Millions of people want to see that fight. Millions of people want to see that fight. You know what I'm saying? They see that and they're like, yeah, oh, I got to see this fight. When the weigh-ins happen, the press conferences happen. That's what happens, man.
Yeah.
The funniest thing,
yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, man.
Mike Tyson said about, oh, if you don't take the fight, you bring disgrace on your family. Then should I go and be the head of your family? Should I go and take your wife?
Yeah, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the type of like that's the type of crap that I talk. Because I'm ruthless, bro. I could be ruthless. You know what I mean? Now I'm 31. I'm a little bit more chill, but I could still dig deep and pull out my my 18-year-old self, my 22-year-old self, my 20. You know what I mean? Like when you're like, you know what I mean? You got to be a savage in there, bro. Some of these guys, they have that in them, bro. Matt. Remember Mike Tyson in his prime. For those of you guys that haven't seen it, man, go look it up on YouTube. Mike Tyson in his prime. Yeah. That guy was full of testosterone, bro. He was a killer. That's how you have to be to really, to take the game over like Mike Tyson did. A lot of people will say to this day, Mike Tyson's fights were the biggest fights that have ever happened in Las Vegas, period. Like when Mike Tyson was fighting, Las Vegas was like shut down, man. It was just everyone was on the strip. And the reason why it was like that, yeah, he was an amazing boxer, but he was a character, man. He was talking about eating fighters' kids. He was, you remember when he squared off with Lennox Lewis? You know what he did at the press conference? Yeah. He stood up, he looked at him, and just walked straight down. And Lennox Lewis tried to put some hands out. Mike Tyson wasn't scared of nothing. He walked right through that and started going at him, bro, going for his throat. The day before he was going to fight him. It's not just a show, man. It's a fight, That's why when the Diaz brothers fight, it's entertaining because it's real. It's authentic, man. They look at it like, okay, you're going to fight me inside there in the octagon, but it's a real fight. You know what I mean? As far as I'm concerned, when I see you, it's on site. And that's how I would be. Yeah. That's how I would be. It's simple.
I feel like the mentality you have to make it real is you have to start thinking, yo, this guy is here. He's there to take my glory. He's there to take my paycheck. You know what I mean? Like you got to speak your mouth because otherwise no one's going to listen to you and you're not going to get paid. So
exactly.
You gotta make it real because otherwise, you want to be like one of those guys who's like on, like Leon Edwards is on like a 10-fight winning streak and no one cares about him. I mean, if I tell the average, a buddy of mine's a kind of like a casual fan, if I tell him who Leon Edwards is, he's like, I think I might have heard of the guy. Like,
barely,
like, yeah. No, exactly. You're not gonna know who he is.
Oh no.
Yeah, man, and it's nothing but his fault.
In my case, bro, Taylor, I don't like Colby, I know that he does what he does because of pay-per-view money, championship money.
But Colby's corny. Colby's corny. You know what I mean? And I don't like it either.
I mean, I hate it, I hate it.
But Will, let me ask you this. Will, let me ask you this. You say you hate it, but now all that crap that he talked against Usman, you're telling me that when there was fight night, when Usman fought Colby, that you weren't super excited for that fight? Did you not want to see how that fight played out?
Of course. I was super excited, and I remember watching a video from yours that the price was on Colby, and the
value was on Colby in that fight. You can get him at, you could have got him at like plus 170, plus 160. The value was on him, and still to this day, I stand behind that because he was winning that fight going into the 5th round, or it was tied at least. So. He lost.
He was winning, and I bet some cash on it, and and parlay and something else. But the main thing is like you just told me. I hate it. The way he reacts and he talks like Donald Trump, and I like Donald Trump actually. I think that he's a cool president and everything, but I don't like everything that comes come up
I
from
agree with you.
his
No,
mouth.
I agree with you.
You
I,
know,
I back you up on that 100% because it's fake.
yeah.
It's fake and it's corny. It's
You can
fake.
trash talk. You can trash talk and be funny, you know, and be charismatic, and you or like Connor, you know, or like Muhammad Ali, you know, one of the best or the best trash talker. You know, I saw the movie, The Greatest, and the movie from Will Smith, you know, just recently on the internet, you know. And I think that Muhammad Ali, you know, versus Sonny Liston and George Foreman, you know, what's a great trust talk, you know. And I don't know, you know, I don't hate or I don't like to say that I don't like trust talk. I love it, trust talks, but weird trust talk, you know, like
no, I agree with you 100% on that one.
Yeah,
it's too fake. It's exaggerated and it's fake and it's scripted, and it's almost like a Chael Sonnen type of trash talk.
Yeah.
The only difference is with Chael Sonnen, when he did it, he was one of the first to do it, so it was still kind of entertaining when that was all happening. You know, at least for me, when Chael Sonnen started doing all that, I loved it
because I didn't entertaining.
Yeah, because nobody did that up until that time. If Colby Covington was doing the same thing that he's doing right now, if he was doing this way back in 2000 and whatever it was, 2012, 2011, it would be a little bit different. But the game is changing. Like now we're on to the corny stuff. Like we want something that's more authentic, like a Conor McGregor. You know, Conor McGregor. Yeah. I think Conor McGregor, and I'm not just saying this like, oh, Conor McGregor's like me. I'm like Conor McGregor, but I do see a lot of similarities in Conor McGregor. That's why he's one of my favorite fighters, because I think Conor McGregor's the type of guy, he goes out to get a drink with his wife or his girl or whatnot, and he's just the type of guy that, like, you know, if you bump into his girl or whatever, he's going to smack you in the head. I think he's the type of guy that, like, if you disrespect his family or you do something stupid, you say something stupid, he's going to pop you in your mouth. It's not talk. Colby Covington, I think Colby Covington, you can go up and smack his girl in the butt, and I think that Colby Covington's going to be like, bro, what are you doing? Like, you know, call the cops. He's not real. He's not a real fighter. He's a gym fighter.
Yeah.
But guys, check this out.
Yeah, I don't like him.
You guys bring up good points, but first, I was going to say two things. First of all, I feel like Colby has been getting better. Like I saw his recent interview, like he called Masvidal Street Judas, and then he told Cejudo, like, Bilbo, go back to the Shire. So I don't know. For me, I thought that was a little bit funny.
He is slick. He's slick.
But, and another thing I was going to say, that even though I do agree with you, like Conor does it better, but it's still better than nothing. Like,
exactly.
Nothing. Like, it's better to be, like, at least if he's sucking in it, at least he's out there trying. You know what I mean? Like, even though it sucks, he's still getting see because we're talking about him. But if he said nothing, we wouldn't have even been talking about it. He might not even have had the title shot. Again, he might be in Leon Edwards territory. He could have been
in the prelim. In the prelim. That's right.
And Arseny, I 100% agree with you on that. Like, I'm 100% behind him for what he's doing. I think that he has done the best with his situation and what he's able to do. That's why it's good. And I want to tune him and I want to watch him fight. But then when you get the guys that are authentic, they're above him to me. Yeah. The Nate Diaz, the Nick Diaz, the Conor McGregors, those guys, like, I'm bigger fans of them. And when they fight, I'm more excited when they fight than a Colby. Colby, I'm still excited. I'm going to tune into him more than these other guys. But it's just when it's authentic, it's nice. Yeah. And I just don't understand why it's so hard for some of them to be authentic. But maybe I gotta, like, think outside the box. Not everyone's the same as everybody.
Yeah, and also I feel like some people are just naturally charismatic. Like, I mean, I know, like, I remember in high school, you know, some people would talk shit. Some people are just better at talking shit than other people. Yeah. Some people are just more quick-witted. You know what I mean? Like
that's true.
Like this kid.
Natural.
He was just really good at coming up.
Natural trash talk is better than scripted.
For me, like, I feel like, you know, like, I'd be like, you know, whatever. If I come up with smack talk, and then 5 minutes later, I'd be like, oh man, I should have said that. You know what I mean? It takes time to figure it out. Other people,
that's true,
and they're just like, bam, like right at the tip of their tongue. Like they know. Like, remember when Conor smacked what's his name?
Jeremy Stevens.
Yeah, Jeremy Stevens. Like, it was
just fuck is that guy?
Yeah.
They don't have that quick wit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a natural. He's a natural.
Natural. Yeah, trust talker. And I actually at the beginning I didn't like Conor, at the
Let you know
beginning
that
because
the link is in the chat. I'll post it again for you. And yeah, you guys, if you don't mind, I'll bring Death Warrior. Let's see what he has to say. Let's see who this guy is. You see the link? I'll post it again for you. But yeah, man, this is what the chat's here for. You know, me, Arseny, and Will are chatting it up, but you know, it's always good chatting with them. But you guys are more than welcome too. We like to keep things moving, have different types of people come back and forth. But feel more than welcome. I'm gonna post it there again. So click on that link, Death.
You know,
Death.
You know what else just came to my mind?
And I want to finalize, you know, because I'm going to eat, you know,
right,
something
ahead,
here. I'm just going to finalize about the Jones and Ngannou fight. You know, I think that Jones has the longest reach in the UFC. You know, I don't know if any fighter. I don't know if any fighter is bigger than Jon Jones. I mean, with his reach.
Stefan Struve tied for reach, I think.
Yeah, and what about Brock Lesnar's up there too, huh? I think Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar? No, Brock Lesnar. He has a big reach also, but no as Jon Jones. Not as Jon Jones.
I'm gonna pull it up right now. Maybe at most, Brock Lesnar might have been short by 1 inch. Let me pull it up though.
81 inch reach.
81, and what's Jones?
I think Jones has 84.
Oh.
84 inch.
Oh, I mean, at that point, 84. It's like, you know what I mean? At that point, that's like being 280 pounds versus 290 pounds. It's like, is there really a difference at that point? You know what I mean?
Oh, man, yeah. Okay, so he has somewhere around a 75-inch reach, they say. So Brock Lesnar was – but you know what it was? Back in the day when Brock was fighting, there was nobody that had a reach like him. And then, yeah, Jon Jones eventually, you know, worked his way through the ranks. But Brock Lesnar was the original, like, crazy reach guy, you know, crazy looking dude.
The first fighter, you know, wrestler.
Yeah, 81 inch.
Yep. Well, against all odds, if I come back, you know, I'm appearing here and we'll chat later.
Man, anytime. Right? I guess I think Death Warrior was just talking hot air because he never came to the lobby, but the welcome still stands, Death Warrior Lewis. But
all right, man.
I appreciate you having on. Appreciate you coming on, Will. Anytime, you know it's always open, man. Every Thursday. I appreciate you tuning in, man. And this is all going to grow, man, right before everyone's eyes, man. This is only the third episode we've done. This is going to be happening every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have bigger and bigger guests, and I'm working on a couple things right now. I'm just starting to work on some things to market, you know, what I got going on here. So we'll get a lot more eyes on what's going on. We'll have bigger crowds and whatnot. So you could definitely
congrats on yeah. Let me tell you something before I had my dinner. You had congrats on your first 1,000 followers on your YouTube channel.
Subscribers, you know? Yes, thank you. 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah. Subscribers, sorry. That's great, man.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you so much, Will. I know, Will, you were one of the OGs from way back, man. I remember you from the beginning, so I always appreciate you tuning in.
Hey, bro. Always.
All right, Will, what do you got for dinner? What's on the menu?
Yeah, you know, it's like a chicken spicy with rice.
That sounds good, man.
Yeah, let's look at food and put some extra spicy on it because I like hot sauce and some chili.
Sounds good, man. Well, I won't hold you up any longer, man. Go ahead and go enjoy that food.
Let me check. What
the Will, I was just saying, go ahead and enjoy that dinner. Go ahead.
Hold on.
What's going on, Will? Alex Perez, -140.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Alex Perez. He's
sorry. What's a call? What's a no call?
No worries, Will. Go ahead, brother. Go eat.
Let me
eat, Will.
Let me try.
Hey, Howard, I just saw on MMA Mania, they said Paige Van Zandt versus Amanda Ribas rebooked for July 11th. Could be coming to a fight island near you.
That's a good fight. Amanda Ribas. Oh man, I don't think she wants to fight Amanda Ribas.
Yeah.
Amanda Ribas is nasty. She's coming off a very solid victory. I think she was like a -400 or 500 in that fight, right? She destroyed that girl.
Oh, yeah.
I just saw Amanda Ribas. She beat Mackenzie Dern, right? Not too long ago. I think I was there for that fight.
Yeah, that was yeah. What was she? Was she a giant? I thought she was a giant underdog, or no?
She was definitely an underdog. She was an underdog in that fight. I don't know how much of an underdog. Maybe like a plus 140, 150.
Oh, so what? So it was close. Because I know, didn't like Mackenzie when she first came on the scene and she fought the girl who was like had the long arms. I forgot her nickname was like not the spider, something. I'll tell you right now what it was. Ashley Yoder. Well, no, not was it
the spider monkey?
Yeah,
she beat Ashley Yoder. She knocked out that one girl. Remember that one girl? Who was that one girl? ABC. ABC's her nickname.
Amanda Cooper. She submitted her. It says.
Yes. Well, she submitted her, but the whole way that submission happened, she dropped her with a nasty hook and then took her back, I believe, or something.
Yeah, that's when she missed weight by like 8 pounds.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I remember she was a giant favorite over Ashley Yoder, and Ashley Yoder actually kept it competitive. Like I remember that.
She did. Yeah. That was like a typical situation with like women's MMA where you got a girl that's all hyped up. The odds are very tricky because a lot of women's MMA fights, if there's no finish, a lot of those fights play out very closely,
I have a question for you. Do you think that women's MMA fights are more predictable or less predictable than men's? I would think more predictable because more predictable, right? Because they have less knockout power.
Yes, exactly.
There's no
you almost take out that whole X factor of those crazy things happening in fights, the knockouts that you see so much in men's mixed martial arts. There's any type of you've seen it time and time again where these crazy knockouts happen. So a fight, for example, that comes to mind: Gregor Gillespie versus Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee hits him with a beautiful like switch head kick, like a step in head kick. You don't see that happen in women's MMA that much. And in my opinion, if that fight would have transpired, Gregor Gillespie would have been taking Kevin Lee down in the later rounds. He would have won that fight. And that, if you had money on Gregor Gillespie, that wasn't your day. But in women's MMA, you don't see that often. Those crazy like head kick knockouts and stuff. You see it from the top tier women, Mandy Nunez and Cyborg.
So I would think then that kind of the most predictable fights, which is kind of a good thing, would be women's 115. Other than the robberies, like for example, I think you mentioned, Gadella. I also agreed with you. I felt like, what's her name? Beat Gadella, Claudia Gadella.
Angela Hill.
Yeah, Angela Hill. I felt like
Angela Hill won rounds 2 and 3. For sure.
So I feel like other than these robberies, that's kind of like a good thing that women's 115 may be like a good places to bet because it's kind of like it's kind of more like meaning like when you do men's heavyweight, anything can happen any second.
But what happens though? The odds transfer over for that too though, because you get a lot of women that are like very high. They're very big favorites a lot of times. Even like Claudia Gadelha, that was a fight for whatever reason. She was a pretty big favorite. It's dangerous. This guy Beast Warrior is here. I'm gonna add him in too.
Yeah.
What up, Beast? Yo, Beast Warrior, are you there? We see you. No audio, I guess, from the Beast. Yo, Beast. I don't know. What do you see there, Arseny? What do we got?
Yeah, no, I can't really see.
Can you make out what we got over there?
Yeah.
Yo, Beast Warrior, bro. Can you hear us or what? I'm gonna take you down, bro, if you don't say nothing.
Yeah, I can hear you.
There he is, Beast Warrior.
I can hear you.
What's up, Beast? What's your name, brother? You want to go by Beast or what?
How you doing?
Doing good. You want to go by Beast?
Say what?
I said, what's your name? Or you want to just go by Beast? Oh, he's out of there.
Okay.
I guess interesting dude. I guess he's camera shy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what were we just talking about? Oh, here he's coming back now. I'll give him one more shot. Let's see if he's gonna bring anything to the table.
All right, I'm back.
What up, Beast? You there, man?
Howdy, I'm back.
All right, man. Lost you there for a second. What's going on, Beast? We'll give you a chance to talk, man. What's on your mind in regards to fights? We can hear you, brother. Could you hear us?
Say what? You're breaking up a little bit. Hold up. All right, let's try again. Talk.
Can you hear us? Or we'll give you another chance, Beast. Can you hear us?
Yes.
I said, what's going on,
Yeah,
man? What do you want to talk about? That's MMA related, man. What do you got going on?
All right, MMA related. All right, here's one. I have a question for you, and I've been wanting to talk to someone who actually knows their MMA, because none of my friends do or anything.
Mm-hmm.
In their prime, who you got, Jon Jones or Chuck Liddell?
Of course, Jon Jones.
Yeah, no? I'm gonna have to say Jon Jones. I gotta go Jon Jones. Well, in their prime, the difference is, man, the game changed a lot. So Jon Jones in his prime, Chuck Liddell is from the old school, man. He was a legit fighter. I think if you took Chuck Liddell and you had him training with the modern technologies that we have nowadays, and maybe you put Chuck Liddell in camp, Jackson and Wink, you're talking about a different type of fighter. But the Chuck Liddell that we had, that prime Chuck Liddell would lose to a prime Jon Jones, 100%. I think. Nah, you know what? I want to retract that. I don't want to say 100%. Maybe Chuck Liddell in his prime, and he had pretty good knockout power. He had a granite chin in his prime, but he had pretty good takedown defense too. I think Jon Jones would just style on him. You know what I mean? The spinning back elbows and his wrestling's nasty, and I got to say Jon Jones. Lost you there for a minute, Beast. What's going on? Oh, yeah.
Say what?
Can you hear us good? You got a good reception? Is everything good over there or what?
I thought I had a good reception, man.
We can hear you good. You sound good to us, man. We can hear you good. So what's going on with you? You're good, bro.
It's your side then. Y'all keep cutting out.
How are you, Arseny? You can hear us pretty good?
Yeah. I hear you perfectly, man.
All right. Mike Sanders says, you know who is on the next card. The next card, I don't believe the official fight card was announced. I believe we only have about five fights locked up. Excuse me. I don't know, Arseny, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I was trying to look that up. UFC, it would be fight night. What is that? What is that? What was the last one? Oh, 174? What?
It's the May 30th card that we have. I mean, I know we got Woodley and Burns. I know we got Hannah Cyphers, Mackenzie Dern. We got Augusto Sakai taking on Blagoy Ivanov, and then we got Jamal Hill versus Klidson Abreu. But I don't believe they have announced the rest of that card, even though it's taken place in only 9 days.
Yeah, no, I'm looking right now. Why I'm trying to see, because I saw something on a link, or sometime I don't even remember. But yeah, no, I don't see it. But going back to
MMA Locker Room says that there's 9 fights announced. So comment, where are you pulling up that card? Because if you look on Tapology, if you look on MMA odds, like none of the top MMA websites are showing that card. So I don't believe they posted on Bloody Elbow either.
I think I just saw it on the
MMA Mania.
Yeah, I just saw like the main event for that one. I think just the fact that there was going to be a card next week, which is awesome. But you know which fight I'm like really, really excited. Again, obviously it's not announced. I don't know when it's going to happen, if it is ever going to happen. Davidson against Piotr Yan. I feel like that would be a good fight. Like Davidson moving up to 135 and fighting.
Is that what he's talking about doing?
No, he's not. But just in my mind, I feel like that would. I actually won.
Yeah, that would. I think Jan is going to destroy everybody in his path, though. Right now, man, that guy is such a beast. He's going to be the next champion. He'll be the bantamweight champion.
I won money on Davidson. I had bet him. I got him. I put something on him by knockout against what's his name? The guy he fought, Joseph Benavidez. So I remember I had him locked in at plus 300 by not by knockout. I put him by any kind of finish. So submission, any kind of finish. So I got some money on him at plus 300 and some of it at plus 250. But man, that
Okay.
was nice if I could get everything on plus 300. Yeah, that was a nice. That was nice. Yeah, because yeah,
I
go
see
ahead.
a lot of people. I see a lot of people commenting all these different fights, but I'm not exactly sure. I could be wrong. I don't think those are all this May 30th card, because I'm pretty sure that some of, I might be wrong though. I thought some of those were the June 6th card, but I could be wrong.
UFC May
Maybe
30th.
those are all May 30th cards, or
So
maybe they all are on that card.
I see that. The top link. I see Caitlin Chukagian versus Antonina Shevchenko in the works for UFC's May 30th event.
Okay. So that is official then, I think, because I heard that it's getting put together, so it's the 30th card. And if the Roberts, the Predator, his name's the Predator Roberts, who's a cool ass dude. I met him. He's from South Florida. If he's taking on Brock Weaver, if that's that 30th card, that's a solid fight. I'm trying to get Roosevelt Roberts or Brock Weaver. I'll have them on the show for sure. I've talked with both of them before. So those are guys that are entertaining. We'll have on the show here.
Yeah, I see the fights that are announced on MMA Mania. Chris Gutierrez versus Vince Morales, Casey Kennedy versus Luis Smolka,
Casey Keeney.
Yeah, against Antonina. Tim Elliott versus Brandon Royval, Roosevelt against Brock. Klidson Abreu versus Jamahal Hill, and Hannah
Abreu.
Oh, sorry, Abreu. Sorry.
Okay.
Hannah Cyphers versus Mackenzie Dern, and then Woodley versus Burns.
Okay, all right. So that you guys are right. Jimmy the Drunk, man. Shout out to you, man. You were right. You were calling those, and so yeah, those are some interesting fights, man. Those are some solid fights. So definitely looking forward to those fights.
You know what I like about Gilbert Burns, man. What I like about him. He's a pretty small guy for the division, and he's so tough. I mean, watching him when he fought, when he knocked out. What's that guy's name? The legend, Damian Maia.
Damian Maia, man.
Damian Maia.
That was one of my bets, man. That was one of my big plays. I wasn't working with you back then, right? I know.
Yeah. Damian. No, I don't think I made that. Yeah, I think that was before I signed up with you. But
jiu-jitsu was so good that I felt confident it would nullify Damian Maia's jiu-jitsu, and then his striking is just he's way younger, more explosive. That was a solid spot to go in on and make some money.
Yeah, Damian, but he seems so much bigger than Gilbert Burns. Like just in terms of obviously not just height, but just muscle. He is. He's a bigger guy. He's a real middleweight. He's a middleweight fighter almost that really makes a legit weight cut to welterweight. Gilbert Burns is a lightweight fighter that fights at welterweight. Kind of, sort of. He's fought at lightweight. I'm pretty positive. So this Gilbert Burns. He has a lot of he has, and he has that more I don't want to say chubby, not fat, but he's thick. You know what I mean? And sometimes that's good though, man. He's more hydrated. He's more solid. Like my old head coach, who I used to train with, he used to always say the perfect physique for fighting is you want to have a little bit of layer on you. You don't want to have abs shredded. You want to have a little bit of mass on you, to absorb the shots and whatnot. And just anybody, the link is posted. Anybody that wants to come on the show, man. I see we got 17 people in here, so a lot of people are popping in. Thank you for joining us. Me and Arseny are just talking all things MMA, and you guys feel free to click that link. Hop right in, man. I'll bring you right in. We could talk about anything that you want to talk about in particular to MMA or anything. So what I was gonna say is about Gilbert. So I feel like Tyrone is gonna have a big size advantage on him because he's short, but he carries a lot of muscle. I think he walks around at 200, and especially Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman is I think he's a really heavy dude. I think he cuts. He's maybe 190 shredded to the bone. You know what I mean? So I think he's gonna Tyrone, and even though I do agree with you, with Gilbert, I think I favor him versus Tyrone, but I think that Tyrone and Kamaru, they have a lot of size on Gilbert. I think.
I agree with you on that. I do. I think that Woodley will be the more naturally big man in there, but at the same time, some of the keys I see that Burns has that makes this fight a little bit closer than the line is that I think that Burns is a little bit more fluid with his striking.
Yeah.
Woodley has that nasty power. If he connects on you, and he can knock you out. We saw he did to Darren Till, dropped him, and then started raining the ground and pound. But Gilbert Burns is a guy that when things start getting they're going, things are starting to mix up. Gilbert Burns is a guy that's gonna be very fluid in there, and it's a 5-round fight, and if Woodley doesn't connect with that big shot, maybe the technique starts to come in. You start to see Burns start to pick Woodley apart, maybe get a knockout. Here's the other thing to take into consideration too. Gilbert Burns, in my opinion, has below average cardio. He does. If you ever see him fight, man, he'll win the beginning aspects of the fight, and he does tend to fade in those late rounds, the third round and whatnot. So seeing Gilbert Burns fighting in a 5-round fight, that's a whole nother thing that you guys have to take into consideration too.
I noticed that I feel like you can get really good odds when fighters fight someone who has like huge muscles. So like, you talk about like Francis Ngannou, like people see Francis Ngannou and they're like, yo, I'm putting my money behind this guy. Or like they see Tyron Woodley, guy has like biceps like a bodybuilder, and they're like, yo, versus like this kind of, chubbier guy like Gilbert Burns, are like, nah, my money's on this. It's kind of even like you look at like OSP against Ben Rothwell, like OSP's like has a much better physique. Yeah. Versus Ben Rothwell just kind of looks like, I love the guy, but he looks a little bit like Shrek. But he, you know what I mean? But he's still.
You can't just look at you can't judge a book by its cover. You got to know what you're looking at. You got to know the skill set for sure. And I agree with you. Mike Sanders. Let's see. He says, "Boys, what's your favorite fighter from the 9-10 you have seen?" What's the 9-10? Not sure what the 9-10 is. Kind of curious what he's talking about.
910?
Yeah, I don't know.
Area code.
Tyron tends to be slow and starch.
North Carolina? So would it be like what's his name?
You think that's what he means though? Yo, Mike, comment below. What do you mean by 9-10? 9/10?
I think it's Oh no, Dustin Poirier's from Louisiana, not North Carolina. So yeah, that's not even him.
Yeah, I don't know any fighters from
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if he's talking about that though. Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, he's probably talking about something else, and I'm probably missing it.
Yeah.
Anybody, if you know what he's talking about, comment below. What's the 9-10? If you know what the 9-10 is, comment below. What is that? Where Drake's from? He's always rapping about the 9-10. I don't know. Oh, North Carolina, only Brunson. Yeah, I agree. Locker room. That's the only guy I even know from the Carolinas is Brunson.
Yeah.
Didn't Darren Till tap versus Woodley? I don't have to run the tape back. I don't know if he did tap. I know he was getting beat down. I think they just stopped the fight. I don't think he tapped. I think that the referee stepped in.
I mean, that fight had to have been like I know that like Volkov versus Lewis was one of the greatest strike differentials, but I feel like if you look at like percentages, like Woodley versus I guess there's a lot of fights like that, but like Woodley versus Till was probably one of the greatest strike differentials in sort of percentages, because I think that was one of the only fights where Till, I think he landed 0 strikes and Woodley landed like 200 or like something. Yeah.
No, he slaughtered him, and Darren Till really choked in that fight. He mentally choked, man, and that really was like the start of his career unraveling, because I think that he had a lot more potential than what you're seeing from him. He's coming off a win, and in a fight that he lost against Kelvin Gastelum, and the judges gave him the fight. Another horrible decision. I've been hearing him talk a lot of crap. If you've been paying attention to Darren Till on Instagram and Twitter, he's been talking crap to everybody. He's been talking crap to Mike Perry, and it's weird he's talking crap to Mike Perry, because when they saw each other in person, he tried to act all cool with him. I know you guys know that infamous video where he's like, "You want to go in the sauna?" When Perry's like, "We could what did he say that rhymed with sauna?" He said something in regards to training together. You want to train? I think train. He thought train was sauna, but he acted so cool at Perry, and then now all of a sudden he's trying to like kind of talk crap to Perry on an Instagram and whatnot. And he's been drunk, man, on Instagram, talking all types of crap to everybody. And I think that he has a long road ahead of him, because he's definitely like eating junk food. You see him gaining weight and whatnot. He's definitely drinking, and reality is going to hit when he comes back, and he gets locked into the octagon with one of the top middleweights in the world, because he's going to have a long day when he's fighting guys like Israel Adesanya, Paulo Costa, even Marvin Vettori. Those guys can strike, and if you're off your game, they're gonna put some work on you, man. They're gonna finish you. So Darren Till, man.
I just pulled up the UFC stats on that fight. Man, ridiculous. So check this out. Tyron Woodley, significant strikes, 57 out of 79. Total strikes, 74 out of 97. Darren Till, 0 out of 6 significant strikes, 1 out of 7 total strike. So
You want a spa?
what's that?
Yeah. That's what it was. You see in the bottom, that's what it was. You want a spa? He's like, oh, you want a spa? Oh, I thought you meant spa. That's what it was. I'm sorry, man. Go ahead, but continue.
No worries. But man, so 74 to 1 strike. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen that in the history of like myself. Hey, 74.
That was a complete reckoning of Darren Till, man. Woodley just absolutely demolished him in that fight.
At that point, it's better to just get flash knocked out because at least it's like not as bad as getting like just absolutely destroyed with no like, you know.
Yeah. And you know what happened, man? He took all that damage, and then what? In his next fight, he got knocked out, I think, by Masvidal.
Yeah.
And then he got knocked out again, right? After that, too, I believe.
I think it was 2 knockouts in a row, and that's it. Let me see.
Well, Woodley didn't knock him out. Didn't he lose 2 fights after Woodley? He got knocked out by Masvidal. Oh, no, maybe not. Wait, who? Let me pull it up.
No, it was just 2. It was just Tyron Woodley submission Darce choke, Masvidal KO punches, and then Kelvin Gastelum split decision.
Okay, and I'm thinking because he lost that fight. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he could resurrect his career. He's definitely a talented guy. He's a very talented guy.
Yeah, you know, it was funny when you're talking about the smack talking. So remember when Yoel was talking about Luke Rockhold, how Luke Rockhold used to be his boy, and then he talked smack. So then Yoel knocked him out, and then he Me Too'd him with that kiss.
Yeah. Oh, that was dirty, man. Bro, if you think about like one of the worst things that could happen to you being an MMA fighter, that's got to be one of the worst by far, man. You get knocked out and the guy comes up, kisses you, and you're still like all disoriented and you don't even know what's going on. And you got big old Yoel Romero giving you a kiss.
Exactly.
That was you know, and that was funny too to see Luke Rockhold have to have that happen to him because he's such like a cocky guy. You know, he's a good looking guy. You know, he was the type of guy that's like just had everything like handed to him. You know what I mean? Like people pull out the red carpet when Luke Rockhold walks around. And then you get slept, and he had a lot of trouble around that time in his career, or even till his last fight, man. Jan Blachowicz knocked him out. Yeah. Rockhold knocked him out. He started getting knocked out left and right, and it all started with the one and only Vitor Belfort when Vitor Belfort was juiced to the gills and hit him with the spinning heel kick.
TRT Vitor, one of the greatest MMA deities of all time.
What's that?
I said TRT Vitor, one of the greatest deities of all time.
Yes, for sure, man. For sure, man. That guy was a freak.
You know, like I'm looking at Luke Rockhold's record right now. I mean, he's had a lot of back-to-back knockouts, but in his total career, I feel like he hasn't had that many. I mean, I don't like so. I'm looking at
who did he get knocked out by? Vitor.
Yes. So Jan, Romero, Bisping, Vitor, and then one guy like in the beginning of his career, really early on, like fight like in 2007. So you know, it's just they've been like really wild knockouts, and you know his chin has it seems like it's deteriorated. Like at least Alistair has been able to, like you said, you know, kind of like keep it together. But Luke now it's like. I honestly don't even want to see him fight because I don't want to see the guy get knocked out of him. I mean, last time I think Jan broke his jaw. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And you know what it was too, man? The way that he lost to Blachowicz, it's like, you know, that's going to happen again because his defense was so slow. It was just so slow. And you could tell that like the next fight that he has, I'm willing to bet the prop bet, whoever it is, they're going to knock him out, especially at light heavyweight because he should have saw that shot coming from Jan Blachowicz from a mile away, and he didn't see it. And it's crazy because you see him training with Henry Hooft over at Hard Knocks 365, and Henry Hooft promotes Rockhold more than anybody. He puts more time with Luke Rockhold than anybody. I mean, he's a real big believer in Luke. And having a striking coach like Henry Hooft is amazing, but for whatever reason, he's not working on his defense as well as his striking. And I think that's more important right now because his chin is so bad that if he gets connected on, he's going to get put to sleep. And that's going to happen time and time again if he continues to fight.
Yeah, he needs to do that Anderson Silva, the tennis ball, you know, make sure he has that head movement and stuff.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I mean,
I think on all that.
I think Anderson Silva, if I'm not mistaken, he had like one of the best in terms of like striking defense. Like I think he got hit the least out of like any fighter. I think so, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I'm sure Adesanya's up there too, but I think Anderson Silva, he took like the least damage. Like he has the least amount of like significant strikes against him. Like, you know, maybe
besides that Chael Sonnen fight.
Yeah, besides the Chael. But in general, like he was good at avoiding at not taking damage.
Yeah. No, definitely an excellent defensive fighter.
I was surprised about Rockhold, you know, because when I saw him, you know, again, one of those like physique tricks, like you see him, he has a great physique at light heavyweight, but then again, he's so damn slow. And it's funny, I remember watching that fight, and actually it's funny because I was in Canada and I was watching at this bar in Canada, and I remember that when I saw him, I thought that was going to be knockout of the night. And then Jorge Masvidal comes on, and it's fun.
Oh, yeah, that was the same night.
I was like betting on MMA, but I was like, oh, yo, Ben Askren is going to like manhandle the guy. Like Jorge Masvidal doesn't have that, you know, his wrestling isn't that good. Ben Askren is going to manhandle him. And then
he got caught early.
No, just killed.
If he didn't get caught, I would have loved to see how that fight would have transpired. I think that Askren would have took over that fight if he didn't get knocked out.
Yeah.
Ethan Wattenberg has a question. Nunez have any chance to lose? And she's fighting Felicia Spencer. Felicia Spencer is a girl she's tough. She's a thick girl. She's a good grappler. She's extremely tough, has a solid chin. I can see her eating a lot of Amanda Nunez's shots because we just saw her eat a bunch of Cyborg shots. I think you got to go Nunez, man. You got to just stay away from that. It's not even about like a value thing or nothing, because Nunez's leg kicks are going to be so nasty. She's going to pick Spencer's legs apart. And she stops her because Nunez's striking is nasty. Maybe she gets a stoppage. I mean, if Spencer's going to win that fight, she has to get the fight to the ground and pull off like a rear naked choke. And Nunez, I don't know, maybe possibly. If Spencer can wear her down and somehow, you know, take her back or something, it's a 5-round fight. Maybe like the old Amanda Nunez. Remember the old Amanda Nunez that lost to like Kat Zingano? You know what I mean? Like she looked good in the beginning of that fight, and then Kat Zingano got the takedowns. They kind of grinded her out. But you don't see that Amanda Nunez anymore. Amanda Nunez now she's like the best women's fighter of all time. So I probably wouldn't have any action on that.
Yeah, you know, for some reason, when I think of that fight, I don't know. In my mind, the fight that comes to mind is Chuck Wepner against Muhammad Ali. You know, like Chuck Wepner took all this damage, but Muhammad Ali, like, still, you know, obviously still, like, clearly won that. Like, you know, that was the fight that what Rocky was based on. Like, Sylvester Stallone wrote the movie based on after watching the Chuck Wepner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Muhammad Ali fight. This guy, nice. Chuck Wepner, he was like I don't want to say a scrub because obviously anyone who fights professionally is not a scrub, but, you know, his nickname was the Bayonne Bleeder. And he came out and he didn't, like, people say he dropped Muhammad Ali in one round, but he kind of just pushed him down. But he basically survived, which was a victory for him because nobody, and Muhammad Ali is Muhammad Ali. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, I just thought of that fight where, like, I see Felicia surviving, like, and having like a hard fought effort, and like it just being a victory for her just to survive, but ultimately Amanda getting like the wide decision, you know?
Yeah, watch the leg kicks. I'm looking forward to watching that fight, man. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Actually, you know, I was thinking about how I remember like listening to an interview, I think from Kat Zingano, that like even though she beat Amanda Nunes, she said that she was like in the hospital for months. She gained a bunch of weight because Amanda hit so hard.
Yeah, she took damage, man, in that fight.
Yeah. I don't think I've never seen a girl hit as hard as Amanda Nunes.
Not me either. What she did to Ronda Rousey, she's the best women's fighter of all time, I think. And not only that, I think she's the hardest hitting women's fighter that we've ever seen, and she's amazing.
Yeah, I remember.
I would have liked to have seen that Cyborg fight last a little longer and see how that really played out with the striking. But, you know, Cyborg wanted to bring the fight, and Nunez, she finished it. So. Yeah,
and you know what? It's funny because I was debating with my buddies when I was watching the fight. I'm like, yo, Amanda has the power advantage in terms of knockout power. And they're like, nah, Cyborg has harder punches. I'm like, no, like Amanda punches harder. I think Cyborg
has. She's precise.
Yeah.
Too, you know.
Precision, the cardio advantage, but again, she didn't fight intelligently. She came in like kind of like Chuto box style, whatever it's called. It's like, oh, you hit me. Well, and it's funny because she was getting more refined. She was getting better at controlling her aggression. And I like Cyborg. I love Cyborg. I think she's an awesome person and whatever. But like, I think she just came in there, and once Amanda hit her, she's like, "All right,
yeah, she didn't like it.
That's it. Like, let's throw down right here." And that was a terrible idea, considering that she had the cardio advantage, she had the precision advantage. She should have tried to take Amanda out in round 5, not in round 1.
Yeah. She turned that fight into a 50-50. She made it a coin flip. She tried to rush Amanda, and she took a quarter and she flipped it, and she was trying to see if it was going to land on heads, and she got tagged. And really, she probably almost really made it like a 48-52, and not in her favor, because she was the one chasing Amanda Nunes down. So, Amanda Nunes was able to kind of counter strike her. She was walking into her shots too, So, no, I don't like the way she played that out.
Yeah. I thought that, she should have, and again, she was getting better. But again, when your emotions take over, sometimes it's,
not a good thing. Usually it's not a good thing. Sometimes you get, sometimes it works out. You knock somebody out, but
it's kind of
go ahead, man.
No, I was going to say that I liked what on that podcast when Mike Tyson was saying that more smart people should be going into fighting, not tough people. Because again, when you
agree.
Like, one thing about quote unquote being tough is also a lot of times being emotional, being like, "Oh, you're going to hit me? Let's go. Let's drop our hands and just start swinging, fighting in a telephone booth." I can't, like, what is it? Like, I think it was like Melendez against Sanchez. That's what happened, right? They both
they did.
That's not, it's fun for the fans, but really that's not a good technical fight. Like, if I were a coach, I would be like, I would tell my fighter, "Hey man, congratulations on winning, but bro, you better never do that shit again." You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you want to have a long career,
Yeah.
If
you
want to thrive in the UFC, you can't do that forever. You could if you have a lot of entertaining fights, you know what I mean? And the UFC will keep giving you fights if you win at least half of them. But what's going to happen to you when you're older, though? If you want to kiss your grandkids and be able to talk and whatnot, I don't know how many of those you want to have.
Exactly. Like, what could happen once he started fighting smarter? What could happen? You know what I mean? Like, perfect example. As soon as he refined his technique, he just skyrocketed. And I think a lot of credit should go to Trevor Whitman. I think Trevor Whitman is a really good coach.
Oh, he's an amazing head coach. Yeah. I put him up there with some of the top in the game, man. Amazing striking coach, for sure, man.
And just psychologically, because it seemed like Rose, obviously she has her, has stuff going on with her in their life, and the fact that he's able to kind of keep her calm and keep her balanced and keep her.
Yeah, Rose is a nutcase, that girl.
Yeah.
She's all over the place, that girl, man.
Yeah, but he's able to basically keep her, like, when he's able to keep her focused. She's best in the world.
Yeah, no, for sure. She could have won that Andrade fight. Well, you guys, I want to touch upon what we'll be doing in the future, man. Of course, every Thursday, 8 p.m., I'm going to have another fighter join us. There's been a few fighters that I've been talking to. So at this point, man, I almost got a list. So I'll try to pick, who's ever the most entertaining fighter that I think will be a good take, coming on the show. So we'll have another fighter joining us next Thursday. And right now, man, we've been going for about 2 hours and 22 minutes. So I'll try to keep it around this time. I don't want to make these videos too long, because I feel like sometimes people won't tune in, later on to watch these. Are too long. So try to make it manageable for them. But I feel like, I appreciate you coming on, Arseny, because I feel like we touched upon a lot of good things. Shout out to Will, who came on earlier. That dude, Death, whatever. He had his one little question. And I hope to see more of you guys coming on the show, man. That's what this platform is for. I want to see a lot of people coming on. I've seen, throughout the entire video, we've had a lot of people in the chat, averaging around 15, 16, up to 20 people. But I understand it's not for everybody to come on, man. But, you could always comment your questions and whatnot, and I'll try to get to all of them. But pretty much going to wrap up the show. Anything you got to say, Arseny, before I wrap up?
No, man, great show. It's always great listening to you, man. And thanks for having me on.
No problem. I appreciate you having you on. Anytime you want to come on the show, man, you're more than welcome. You always have a lot of good MMA insight, so I appreciate you having on. And you make for a good show. So where we'll be, man, every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And I'll try to announce to you guys who I'm going to have on the show as soon as he confirms. Like I said, I got a few of them. I'm trying to confirm with this fighter that would be a very entertaining dude, but I don't want to say it until it's confirmed, But all right, Arseny logged off. Yeah, man. So 1 second, brothers. All right. Yeah, man, we've been going for almost 2.5 hours. Thank you guys for watching. We're going to wrap up MMA Live Discussion episode 3. If you're just tuning in or you tuned in late, we had James Krause on the show. I think that was a very interesting conversation. I tried to give him those real questions. I feel like I put him on the spot quite a few times. And so if you didn't hear it already, man, you're going to want to go back and watch that. It lasted about 30 minutes, and it was kicking off the video right away, man. We started off at 8 o'clock, and I put him on the spot. I asked him questions about the cornering of Anthony Smith, and I touched upon how I felt in regards to that. I felt that he really didn't do anything wrong. Anthony Smith already said that it's not even a question if his corner can stop the fight, so they didn't have a choice first and foremost. And just before I close out, like how I felt about that fight, just to go in more detail, because I was kind of letting James talk about it himself, but I felt that I felt the fans made a bigger deal of it than it really was. If you look at that fight, or for example, if you look at the fight that just took place prior, about a week before, Tony Ferguson took way more damage than Anthony Smith took, in my opinion. The difference was Tony Ferguson has that type of vibe where he just keeps walking forward, and he's an absolute warrior, but he was taking way more damage. I mean, he's getting hit with way heavier shots. In the Glover-Teixeira fight against Anthony Smith, Teixeira was on top of him, and he was hitting him hard. He's a big dude, and he's giving him those shots to the side of the head. But those aren't finishing type of shots. And if you want to blame anybody, I blame Glover-Teixeira for that fight not being stopped earlier. Glover-Teixeira could have finished that fight multiple times, and right from the second round, I believe, and he didn't. He chose to just land some significant shots, stop, control, hold position, and he continuously didn't take the opportunity to finish the fight. Maybe he's had experiences where he's unloaded like that before. He's gassed out. Maybe he was worried about that. But I remember watching that fight and like, why isn't he just posturing up and just rain little shots, give the referee a chance to stop the fight? You can't blame the referee, because really there wasn't really an appropriate time to stop that fight. The referee, I forget who refereed that fight, but it really wasn't. It wasn't appropriate for the referee to stop the fight. And also people made a bigger deal about the aspect of him saying, "Oh, my teeth are falling out of my mouth." If you heard Anthony Smith in regards to that, the reason why he was saying his mouthpiece, or no, excuse me, the reason why he was saying his teeth were falling out was because he was letting them know that's the reason why his mouthpiece kept falling out. So it wasn't so much how it looked to be, that where he's crawling back to his corner saying, "Oh, my teeth are falling out," like he's looking for them to stop the fight. That was not the case at all. So I appreciate you, Junior Smile, man. Great show today, man. Yeah, no, I appreciate all you guys tuning in. I hope I see you guys here next Thursday. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram already, follow me on Instagram, MMA Fortune Teller _. I'm on Twitter as well, but I'm not on there as much. The MMA Teller. Of course, here on YouTube, but you guys already know that, man. You guys are here. If you haven't already, subscribe. I believe I just hit 1,000 subscribers. So I'm officially monetized. I'm going to be making a bunch of money from making these videos, probably making like $1 a month. But if you guys haven't already, man, subscribe to the channel, man. Throw me all those subscriptions that you could. And, hit me up on Instagram. Like I said, that's my main platform. And great show today. I appreciate all you guys tuning in. And on that note, I guess there's nothing else to do but signing out, the Teller.